Hello, I'm a queer Janfi, and I'm here with.
I'm Farah.
I did that.
You change your intro all the time, and it throws me because I'm next.
And to be fair, I forgot to even say. Let me start again. Let's do it properly. Welcome to News and Nonsense. I'm a queer Janfi, aka Auntie AK, aka the auntie of all aunties, and I'm here with.
I'm Farah, your resident Caribbean queen.
I'm Nana, aka the Black Fairy, aka Dark and Lovely.
Hello.
Go.
There we go. I know. Sorry, I got thrown for a second. And well, we're here. News and nonsense because the world is literally going to hell. And we thought we'd bring you the news our way. We'll dig through all the news and nonsense out there and give you our take on it. We're here to help you separate the wheat from the chaff, the sap from the crap, what you need to know from what you don't need to know. But by the way, guys, what you must do, Nana, take it away.
You need to book the like button, 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 book the like button.
Book it, guys, book it. And also, Laura, tell them something else that they need to do.
Oh, okay. I didn't realise we were doing the old this thing. I clearly haven't read the doc if this is in here. You also need to sign up to our membership, and we have 2 tiers. We have $1.99 if you just want to say hi and show us love. But if you want to be part of the family and support us, please join our family. And it costs $4.99, and it is still cheaper than a bag of chips.
And we also need help in the comments. Please join the discussion. Let us know what you want to get into. We need the comments because we like to talk to you. And serious moment. If you've made it this far, you need to know something very serious, that we are sharing our opinions. We are not experts. We really barely had enough time to do the research. Anyway, this is the ultimate aunties WhatsApp group. This is the ultimate aunties WhatsApp group. You want actual...
I rebuke that.
Farah, we need...
I do.
Because
the aunties WhatsApp group is like proper nonsense.
Okay, we need to go through
this. This is more news than nonsense. I rebuke that. Carry on.
Again, if you've made it this far, you now need to know that we are sharing our opinions. We are not experts. We have barely had enough time to research everything. This is the Ultimate Aunties WhatsApp group. You want actuals and factuals? Ask TLC or Google. Thank you. We could literally change our minds next week. Any links shared are for you to go forth and figure it out your damn selves.
I second all of the rest of that.
Hello,
apart from
good
that
night.
Little bit in the middle. I rebuke that bit.
It's just all covering our backs because we don't want to get into trouble. Thank you very much. It is all fun and jokes, and we're having fun, but we also try to share stuff so you get a little bit more wizened to what's going on out there. Who's going to take the comments and who's in the group? Who's here with us today?
Okay, we have Yvonne came in bright and early. Well, because she was here first. Thank you, Yvonne, for being here with us. We have Rhea Hampton in the house. We have Body Gang. We have Sora in the house as well. We have That Cat Rocks in the house. Sonia Barley is here. For Grown Women Only is in the house. Fumi is in the house as well. Mutu Ford is in the house. Lil Rock is in the house. Sistrin has been with us for 7 months. Thank you so much for being a member. Big up.
They don't.
Yes. Yeah, for real. Actually, she's been with us for almost 5 years. So thank you so much to Sistrin for riding with us. Yvonne was asking, do we have to upgrade from $1.99 to $4.99 to continue the benefits from previous? Yes, you do. So if you go on and if they've already taken a $1.99, you go back on and they will take the rest and you can upgrade so that you get all the benefits from the aunties as well. And it's a great way to support us. So appreciate you guys for being members.
Thank you so much. Now let's get into the news and the nonsense. Guys, I don't know, for those, I know we have supporters and watchers and listeners from America. Condolences, because you can no longer click the TikTok like button and get access to the world of TikTok. How are you feeling? What's it like? The TikTok ban has happened, even though Trump said he was going to save it. So yeah, how are you feeling? We're just going to get into it. It's TikTok ban. I think I've got a video clip first of all. All right, let me share my screen. Let me get my screens together. This is the first kind of explanation of what's going on.
TikTok. For its users, it's their go-to for everything.
Chocolate chip cookie with a shot of milk was so bomb.
But for some politicians in Washington, it's a Chinese-owned app that poses a national security risk. And while there are more Americans on TikTok than voted in last year's elections, it's the politicians who have the power to turn the lights off on TikTok.
And to the US government, I'm never forgiving you for this.
The Supreme Court today upheld a decision that, unless the app finds an approved new owner by Sunday, then it will effectively be banned in the United States.
The American people need the truth.
It was last year when Congress grilled TikTok's CEO, concerned that the app, owned by Chinese company ByteDance, was linked to the government in Beijing, and that it could harvest potentially the personal information of millions of Americans. TikTok denied this, but the anti-Beijing paranoia of senators was clearly on display.
Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore. No, I did not.
The anti-TikTok brigade was a rare thing in Washington, bipartisan. Democrats and Republicans approved the bill, and it was signed by President Biden in April. ByteDance now had 9 months to either sell TikTok to a US-approved buyer or be shut down. Yet as that deadline approached this Sunday, some politicians were getting cold feet.
We're getting real momentum on stopping the ban on TikTok.
It seemed they now feared the backlash from TikTok's 170 million users in the United States.
I'm not ready!
People shocked that the government would ban a social media app, a seeming violation of the First Amendment.
My life changed thanks to TikTok.
What TikTok
and stop a site that contributes billions of dollars to the US economy, threatening the livelihood of influencers.
Will also go away.
Content creation, it is a full-time job. It is a real job. You're delivering a service and you're getting paid.
So what will the president-elect do? It was in Trump's first term that a TikTok ban was originally discussed by the US government, fitting with a shift in America's stance towards China, from tentative friends to trade wars. But Trump's re-election was in part down to his appeal to young male voters, and he found huge success on TikTok, meaning there was a pivot in his stance.
We did go on TikTok, and we had a great response with billions of views, billions and billions of views.
Today, Trump announced he'd spoken with Chinese President Xi Jinping, saying that together they could immediately solve many problems, including TikTok. Trump could sign an executive order when he comes into office and delay the ban for a few more weeks. And TikTok CEO today posted this clip.
I want to thank President Trump for his commitment to work with us to find a solution that keeps TikTok available in the United States.
All this shows the predicament of Trump's incoming coalition of Republicans. On the one hand, this is an aggressive America First movement that wants to protect the US from a rising China. On the other hand, this is the anti-woke group that wants to ensure freedom of speech. So this TikTok tale is a sign of things to come, a short-form video platform that offers a long-term window into the years ahead.
Madness.
We do have that. Go on.
I know. Yeah, we've got the other bit. We've got another bit. I'm going to say first reactions from you guys.
You know what is crazy is the Captain Saver Trump coming along, like he's going to do something, when this really was a bipartisan decision to ban this. It's like this wasn't strictly a Democrats. It's everybody being like, actually, this is what we're going to do. So it's a US agenda to do this. I guess it's to force people onto Facebook for Meta, so that he complies with Trump. I'm not even too sure on what this whole setup is, but what I do love is I have downloaded Red Note, and it's actually a bit of a vibe. It's actually all right.
And isn't Red Note owned by a Chinese company?
And this is the thing. It's like,
and they haven't banned that.
Exactly.
And a lot of people that are on TikTok are saying, just as a fuck you to the government, we are going to go on Red Note.
Yeah.
So
It's like, what's the point? Not what's the point. It's just geopolitical nonsense. They're just doing like Billy Big Dick. I've got the biggest dick. I'm going to own more data, because it's not like American companies don't have issues.
I think
and
it's
European companies have issues with data breaching.
I think it's a bit different to that. And the second video I sent, not with the woman talking, the second video I sent, we don't have to watch all of it. It's like 7, nearly 8 minutes long. But it goes into the conspiracy theory of what is really behind this whole TikTok agenda.
Okay, let's see that content creator that goes in, because I love her.
Yeah, she was good. But the other one, I think if we can play a bit of it as well, it really explains what the legal stuff is around the TikTok ban. It's quite interesting.
Cool. Give me a second. Let's get some comments while I'm figuring out how to get this together.
Okay, Bardigan was saying, of course, Trump will probably come in and save the day. That Cat Rocks says, demanding someone sells their company to you is giving entitlement. Precisely. You know, they're just stealing it, I guess.
Colonialism, a whole bunch of words.
Isn't it what they do?
It's supposed to be a democracy, but freedom of speech isn't really that. Well, on one hand, you've got like Meta and those people saying we're going to stop all fact checking, right? And then you've got them saying we've got to ban TikTok because they don't fact check. And there's a bunch of lies on it. So it's very interesting.
Hold on, my thing's not letting me share. Oh, there we go. All righty, let's go.
As an American citizen, you are intentionally missing the point, because it's not about TikTok. It's the fact that Republicans and Democrats across all legislative branches can expeditiously and unanimously pull together like never before, and probably never again, to streamline legislation banning a social media app while completely ignoring everything important to us. They can't pull together to make sure my kids don't get shot while they go to school, to fix the economy, to mandate livable wages, to kick hedge funds out of single family homes so I can afford my fucking mortgage again. They're doing fuck all about homeowners insurance, stealing billions of dollars from Americans and then leaving them for dead while their homes wash away in a flood or burn to the fucking ground in a fire. They, like every other country, can't pull together to outlaw the poisonous substances that are put into our food, creating an epidemic of obese, diabetic, cancerous Americans who need to lean on a healthcare system. They do fuck all the mandate in way of quality of service or cost. They won't give us free healthcare. They won't invest in infrastructure or education, but all of their efforts collectively go to banning a social media app. California is on fire. North Carolina and Tennessee washed away. New Jersey has geoplasmic orbs over it. Our kids get shot in school, and our economy is on the brink of fucking collapse. But their top priority is banning social media. That's where the effort goes.
Basically, in a nutshell, like,
I mean, facts on facts. Everything.
Yeah,
she said it all.
But I don't know. I mean, there's ways around it. Whilst I find the other thing, there's ways around it. You can get a VPN if you're really so pressed, because there's either going to Rednote and all the other apps that are available, or there is ways around to get a VPN. You can download TikTok from external sources, although that's kind of risks of malware and things like that. And then
if we think about what she said about what the government are actually doing, it's so true. They've never ever pulled together so quickly to pass anything in the fucking whole time that they've been in government or governments. It's never ever happened, and they're doing it for TikTok. I'm sure there's other things that they should be worrying about. She listed about fucking 20 of them. It's just pathetic that this is what they're focusing on. You know, there's people. This is the height, not the height of wildness, but it just shows you where their heads are. Again, you have houses burning, people living on the streets in LA, right? Then you're sending billions to Israel. You have someone who pays their medical insurance. The medical insurance doesn't pay out. He shoots the person who's in charge of it, and then he gets done for terrorism. But then you have a man murdering or helping people on a train in broad daylight, and he gets off. Like, what the fuck is actually happening? It's wild to me. The focus of these people that are in power, I don't think we're ever really going to know what they're up to.
It's just.
I was just about to say a VPN isn't a solution to this. Like,
no, it's not a solution.
No, it doesn't work. It's not a route around. No, you would think it would be, but because it's actually the app is from the App Store, so that's the thing. It's like it's your model which has a placement when you buy it. Like they know where you are, so you're not able
there was a woman that
to get on that way.
There's a
But
woman
also,
that I
just to come back on what you were saying, just to come back on the specifically like the legislation of it all, and people are saying it in the comments, most definitely this is to benefit Meta, and Meta are the ones that are taking most of the data. So if you really want to have a monopoly, which they always do, they always want full-on monopolies of attention, you would do this because it was being split, and TikTok's algorithm was working so well, you actually did have to stop people being on it at the cost of their livelihoods, because for what they're trying to do and set you up, it wouldn't work if you have freedom of information. I mean, that's the overarching thing that they're trying to
is that the one of the reports that I was watching, that hopefully we can get the link for, the guy is saying that Meta sell data to China anyway. So it's just like you're saying it's data. I know.
But I'm saying, I'll play it then.
Need to talk about TikTok. TikTok, if you will, it is the 24/7 news channel of so many of our young people, and it's like Al Jazeera on steroids.
In November of 2023, a recording was leaked of Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of the ADL, referring to TikTok as a problem that needed to be taken care of.
We have a major generational problem. The issue in the United States of support for Israel is not left and right. It is young and old. And so we really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem, that our community needs to put the same brains that gave us TAG Lee, the same brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations, need to put our energy toward this, like fast.
Now, one interesting side note here is that I came across an ADL report expressing frustration that they couldn't access TikTok's analytics the way they can with every other big tech company.
And there you go.
To do that. Anyway, now we're about a month into this war, and all these studies started coming out, making claims about the proliferation of anti-Semitism on TikTok. The most notable one from a statistician and tech executive named Anthony Goldblum. He tweeted out on November 30th that a study he commissioned concluded 30 minutes a day on TikTok makes someone 17% more anti-Semitic. Politicians like Nikki Haley would then go on to regurgitate this claim on national television.
We do need to ban TikTok once and for all. And let me tell you why. For every 30 minutes that someone watches TikTok every day, they become 17% more anti-Semitic.
Except that survey didn't say that at all, because A, it conflated anti-Israel and anti-Semitic sentiments, which I believe to be different. And B, Goldblum himself admitted that he made some logical leaps when he was drawing his conclusion. But now things are really moving at a rapid pace. The next day, on December 1st, 2023, the New York Post reported that a group of 40 mostly Jewish tech leaders and business executives confronted TikTok CEO Shouzi Chu over their concerns about anti-Semitism and the allegedly disproportionate popularity of pro-Palestine videos on the app. One of those executives, Anthony Goldblum, the same Anthony Goldblum who we were just talking about. And from everything I understand, the meeting didn't go well in the sense that TikTok didn't commit to a kind of wholesale removal of pro-Palestinian or anti-Israel content. So from then on, the fight against TikTok pivoted from a kind of PR battle that we were just looking at to now laying the groundwork to push legislation through that would ultimately ban the app. In March of 2024, a bill was introduced in Congress, HR 7521, called the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, sponsored by Representative Mike Gallagher.
Foreign adversary control of what is becoming the dominant news platform for Americans under 30. This is a common sense measure to protect our national security. I urge my colleagues to support this critical bipartisan legislation.
The argument is one we've heard before. TikTok, owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, could pose a threat to U.S. national security by harvesting user data, and its algorithm could also be weaponized to, quote, brainwash Americans. Now, these concerns I do think are valid in a sense, but I think it's worth noting that companies like Facebook and Google engage in similar data collection practices, and then they would go on to sell this data to China. So China is getting the data anyway. But here's where things get really interesting. You start digging into Gallagher's largest campaign donors, you uncover a story that goes far beyond data privacy or Chinese influence. Near the top of his donor list is AIPAC, the Israeli lobby. Here's a crazy statistic for you. Of the 500 plus members of Congress, only 33 members did not receive a donation from the Israeli lobby in the last campaign cycle. So essentially, when Israel wants something from America, they usually get it. Now, another contributor I want to draw your attention to, Palantir Technologies, which is a defense contractor co-founded by billionaire Peter Thiel. Palantir just happens to work very closely with the Israeli military, providing advanced surveillance and targeting software used extensively in their war on Gaza. And one of their consultants, a man named Jacob Hellberg, was responsible for writing the bill. Yeah, it's incredible. A defense contractor who profits off Israel's war were also the ones behind drafting a bill that would, in effect, stifle criticism of said war, which is a clear conflict of interest, no? At around the same time, the Jewish Federations of North America penned a letter to Congress urging lawmakers to ban TikTok due to anti-Semitism. Not one mention in their letter about China or data privacy.
TikTok runs all sorts of videos that portray the Israelis acting towards the Palestinians in barbaric ways. And when young people see these videos on TikTok, they obviously become remarkably sympathetic to the Palestinians, and they think badly, to put it mildly, of the Israelis. So the lobby would like to shut down TikTok.
On March 23rd, 2024,
My God,
HR
stop your evil
75
ways.
passed with
Oh,
large
wow.
bipartisan support. Looking back, I was fully expecting the bill to pass the House very, very quickly and easily, because there are a lot of bills that pass the House and don't make it through the Senate. The Senate is meant to slow things down. But 1 month later, on April 24th, the act passed in the Senate, again, with overwhelming bipartisan support, and was signed into law by Joe Biden on the following day. Like I said, I had never seen a bill go through Congress with that kind of speed and velocity, with very little opposition or debate. It's wild. And maybe even wilder, by that summer, Mike Gallagher, the representative who had sponsored the bill, was now working for Palantir as their head of defense. He didn't even finish out his term. He just resigned from Congress and took a job there. I know, all of this sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory. In fact, the ADL did call this a conspiracy theory. The Atlantic also called this a conspiracy theory. They even name-checked me in their article. Quote, "The entire world knows exactly why the US is trying to ban TikTok," James Lee declared on March 16th. Not bad for your boy here, huh?
Oh my God. Oh my God. That was a brilliant summary of quite a few different bits of TikToks I've seen. That was really, he put that together really well. That was brilliantly done.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Oh my God.
Do you see what I mean? It's so much deeper than they're even making it out. It's just that they're coming up with, it's for our safety, it's national safety. It's deeper than that. It's so dirty in its doings, what they're because they want to benefit Meta. You're absolutely right, because Meta are happy to be their little bitch, let's say it that way, because it benefits them too, right? But at the same time, think about it, out of 500 and something politicians, only 33 have not had funding from these people. So when it comes to passing bills and voting on them, it's going to go through.
Israel basically runs America. Which is a very interesting concept, actually, because very similarly, and we still have that, America runs the UK, because a lot of money actually comes through America as well. So it's all in a loophole as to actually who is running anything, really. Like, who is it? You know, they named a few families that basically run the world, and they seem to have their fingers in all of the pies. And I guess this is all a part of it. If they would love that ByteDance would have just, you've built up this huge network of people, and they would have loved to have just taken that from them, like just simply
because
like
that's
this
what they're
is
used
now
to.
ours. Precisely.
Yeah, that's exactly. They go around the world, and this is what they do. So they just expected we're going to make a threat to you, and obviously it's a different type of thing because it's like an app. It's not like a country where they can go and invade it and say that it needs to be helped and civilized. So they have to do it in business. We'll take it away from all of America unless you sell it to us. That's what they're doing. But it's just. It's just so crazy. You're absolutely right. This one runs that one, and that one runs that one, and it's all being run by these families in the world. And it's just my eyes are more opened every time I turn on the flipping phone and look and see the shit that's happening.
I think that's the problem. Our eyes are getting more and more aware because of social media platforms where the board, like as you said, they can't shut us up. When you've got connection, the internet has opened up a world of information that wasn't available to us before. They're burning books, but now, and then remember they were trying to do net control, net neutralization. What were they calling it? When Obama was in power, when net regulation, when they were trying to regulate the internet, they were trying to find ways to curb our access to the internet. I don't quite think they managed to roll that out in the same way, but they're going to go for the platforms, the social media platforms, as a way to kind of keep us dumb.
They have constantly been trying yearly, but when the internet, I think it may have been about 98, 99, there's a brilliant documentary, and I will find it to expand on this point next week. And they went heavily, this was when we were all on flipping dial-ups, because they knew we would have this day, that actually there'd be too much information that would be able to spread around the world and we would know more. So like from WikiLeaks, they were trying, and it's one guy actually that actually campaigned ferociously and got loads of people early internet time, like bunches of geeks, to be like, you can't actually privatize the internet. Like this was open source when it was found, the geeks that managed to find a way to do it. So governments can't now regulate how it goes. And it is regulated in China though. So if you think about it, where they're talking about China, but the US wants to do China. You want to do a China on your people. You want to control
with everything. With everything. With their bodies. Everything.
They're the epitome is like running through your mind rent free. Everything, they're always watching about what China does and trying to find ways to better
because
China.
China's doing it the best way.
That's what I'm saying.
They want to be China.
They do, but and then they try to lull people into this guise of you're free. You're not free. Like this shows you are not free. You've got millions of people in the streets campaigning for one thing or another about human rights and everything around the sun, and they're not being listened to. The politicians are just doing what they want, and it is because they're all bought out. You know, every time you see the UN vote, who are the people that are vetoing? Why are they vetoing? What's the point of that? Like, you know, it's all a game.
As Bardi Gang said, TikTok was the only app that was unbiased, although it did give right-wing vibes. And I think there's something about that commentary about, because also it's about, I can't get into TikTok, so this hasn't affected me. This won't affect me in any way if it comes to the UK in that respect. But what's it like for those who use it? Is it, from your perspective, your algorithm, does it feel like it's right-wing? Can seep through? Because you know that the rhetoric, and also I just want to be clear, anyone listening, watching, we're not endorsing any anti-Semitism. We're not endorsing any anti-criticism of any one group. So this is a conversation that we're just exploring. Only one group are going to be like brainwashed. They're saying that people will become anti-Semitic for watching TikTok videos.
But let's look at the stats of that. It's crazy. Let's look at.
Are there other groups? Depending on how you use TikTok, are there any other groups that you could be brainwashed against? Because
I use TikTok a lot. I use TikTok a lot. It's not right wing because TikTok really does work on your algorithm. So what you like, what you will spend attention to is what it's going to feed you. So if you are enraged by anything right wing, that's what it's going to give you. So and once you get that, like it's always going to feed what you have spent your attention on. I just go to things that I want to see and that aren't going to make me angry. So it's like, if you want to get more information on something, it is going to give you all of the content creators that are feeding into that information algorithm. And that's what you're going to see. That's what they hate. That's the problem, because you can't stop that like you can with Meta. They will actually start restricting, banning accounts. Like they will do all of that. You can get banned easily on TikTok as well, but if you go within the guidelines, you can give people really pertinent information that you're not going to see anywhere else. And that's
this is
the
what I was
problem.
going to say. This is what I was going to say. Same sort of thing as Nan. I don't use TikTok as much as I do Instagram. I use TikTok, but because I think when I do go on TikTok, it's hard for me to come out because I'm like, oh my God, scrolling for hours. So I don't use it as much. But what I will say is everything that I see is stuff that I want to see. I've yet to go on TikTok and be fed something that I don't want to see. Not like YouTube. I'll get something on YouTube and I'm like, why am I seeing that shit? Like realistically, sometimes that does happen, but like the ads and things like that. But what I was going to say is TikTok has been a source of information. So if you look once, like, okay, I've learned a lot of things about Palestine, not necessarily from TikTok, but there are ways of finding stuff out on TikTok for those things. And these are the things that are scary to them. If anyone has any thought that isn't within the box that they want you to think, you can find out information on TikTok. They don't want that. And as far as it goes for like right-wing thought and stuff like that, X is a place of disgust. Like they're not talking about banning that shit. Why don't you ban that shit? We're not talking about what's going on with that platform. It's just specifically TikTok you want to ban.
And also the fact that the very deep fact of the matter is if there wouldn't, people can't get sympathy for something that isn't happening. So there is something happening in the world.
Yes.
That is detrimental. If there was no source material, no one would get brainwashed.
This is the fact.
But that's not even brainwashing, isn't it? It's not even brainwashing. It's doing what's happening.
It's doing
like you're doing what is there. That's going on. There are people being bombed. There are people dying, and you're like, yeah. But when people see that, they become sympathetic. We need to stop them seeing it. What? Even that it came out of his mouth.
No, the guy that wait. Bit backstory. The guy that said it isn't an Israeli supporter. He's like a university professor that has.
I'm talking about the AOD guy, the one that actually went on the Breakfast Club.
Oh, him.
Maybe called the ADO. Yeah. He has literally said that verbatim. I understand what he was corresponding to. That guy has literally said that. Like, people are sharing things, and then he'll say the sources from past wars, like it's not even happening in Gaza. And then that's why they started to actually put like newspapers, all right, this is from Gaza, this is happening, because he would go, and he's legitimately allowed to speak on media platforms because everybody will talk to him and spew that when you know what is going on in Palestine, that leads to you being anti-Semitic. How did we get there?
And to come up with a percentage that's saying you will become 17% more anti-Semitic by watching a video like that. It's like, so what, every time you watch TikTok, you're going to become 17% more Semitic? So then doesn't it mean that the world is like, the whole world is? How do you make those kind of... Exactly.
Part of my makeup. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, what's 17% of my...
But then let's think about it. There's no one talking about homophobia. There's no one talking about racism. There's no one talking about, so what? Exactly. Nothing happens to those people. Like, it's just,
It's a weird, well, we know why it's happening in all aspects. It's just, is this news or nonsense?
I think it's definitely news. It's good that it's being illuminated for Americans to continuously see the oppressive state that they are living under. Like to actually have that whole thing of like, make America great again and Team America, you're literally being lulled into a handmaiden's tale, and they're doing it, and too many people are complicit. Even if Trump comes along and tries to save the day, there is no way that TikTok is going to stay the same. I would be like, okay, well, now that's going to go, because there will be some type of a corruption in there for people's perceptions to be that we are free and Trump came and saved the day. Like, we have to actually open our eyes. Like, this is a pivotal moment in time. It's time for the revolution. Like, this is crazy. Like, you have no freedom of choice. They can just remove your choice, just like that. Like,
and they keep showing you that they can. So I'm glad that all what is it? How many millions of people is it again? 117 million or something like that are on TikTok in America.
Yeah.
Something like that. But like you said, Nana, I'm glad that they are seeing now. And it's all different types of people as well, I might add. But I'm glad that they're seeing that you can so easily, your life can so easily be controlled, and what you think is freedom is not freedom at all. And it also opens them up to the kind of news that you are being fed and the reasons behind that, because sometimes they're not really focusing, or they're not told what's really going on around the world. Like, we aren't really told that if the mainstream news platforms, they're not delivering news anymore. They're delivering. Go on.
No, I was going to say that actually takes us on to that part, that story that I think you found about the BBC being exposed.
Me and Nana found it at the same time.
Yeah, that was funny. So again, our algorithms were basically giving us the same thing.
I know.
So basically, guys, this is for our next story. BBC News is grappling with its most significant credibility challenge to date, following allegations of systematic bias and censorship in its coverage of Israel's war on Gaza. Leaked internal emails, staff testimonies, and public criticism have unveiled deep divisions within the organisation, prompting widespread calls for accountability and transparency. We do have a video, but talk amongst yourselves whilst I set it up. I mean,
Jordan Parker has just said, Nana, it was Trump and his minions who started this against TikTok during his first term to save what day. It will only highlight his hypocrisy. He won't. The thing is, he won't care, and people won't care, because they will be getting their livelihoods back. So he's going to be a hero. That's the short-term memory of how you have been viewed. Like, literally, it's like, it shouldn't be a celebration. It should be, shit, they can switch our shit off. We have to rebel, but that's not going to happen. Give it a week. I think he's going to be the Captain Saberho. I think that's what we're going to see.
He's trying to be the Saberho for a lot of things, and it's just...
But that's coming back to bite him in the bum in some ways, isn't it?
Let's
get into that later.
Emails and chats, resignations, and editorial battles. BBC News is facing internal turmoil over its pro-Israeli coverage of Tel Aviv's genocidal war on Palestine's Gaza. Touting itself as the world's most trusted broadcaster, the news channel is facing a plethora of accusations by its own staff, including bias, censorship, creating false equivalence between the perpetrators and the victims, and downplaying Palestinian suffering while glossing over Israeli atrocities. An in-depth investigation by Dropsite News uncovered internal emails, testimonies, leaked documents, and screenshots of chats that shed light on the channel's biased coverage of the ongoing Israeli war on Palestinians. But how did it come to this? In November 2023, BBC News senior management joined a morning editorial meeting with over 100 staffers to discuss Gaza coverage. The tone was set early when Deborah Turness, the CEO of the network, said, "We've got to all remember that this all started on 7 October. What followed was a fiery debate, with staff pushing back against what they saw as an oversimplification of the conflict that ignored the broader historical context of Israeli occupation and the suffering it had caused in Gaza. Shortly thereafter, over 100 BBC employees signed a letter condemning the network for biased reporting on Gaza and failing to meet its own editorial standards. Their demands: acknowledge that Israel was denying journalists access to Gaza, stop treating official Israeli statements as gospel, and provide critical context on Gaza's residents, most of whom are refugees whose families were forcibly displaced from other parts of Palestine in 1948. For many, the letter was a last resort, as their previous attempts to engage management had been completely ignored. Turness dismissed the concerns, however, claiming the network reports without fear or favor. But staff saw this as BBC News dodging the real issue by reframing their concerns as identity politics. "This isn't about identity," one journalist fired back. "It's about refusing to blindly accept the Israeli narrative." The internal rift deepened in December 2023 when BBC News buried Amnesty International's report accusing Israel of genocide, and instead published a pro-Israeli stand on the topic that led with "Israel rejects fabricated claims of genocide." Internally, staff called it a PR win for Israel, sparking further frustration. Much of the blame is directed at Rafi Berg, BBC News Online's Middle East editor. Berg has been accused of micromanaging coverage, watering down critical stories about Israel and fostering what staff describe as a culture of systematic Israeli propaganda. Berg's critics point to his personal history to underline their concerns. While junior staff were reprimanded for social media posts supporting Palestine, Berg publicly celebrated the launch of his book on Israel's Mossad with an event attended by an Israeli embassy spokesperson. On more than one occasion, he posted on social media that he had seen his book on Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu's bookshelf, expressing delight at his prominence. BBC journalists argue that this background is key to understanding Berg's influence upon and shaping of BBC News Gaza coverage, from headlines to story text to images, arguing that he repeatedly seeks to put Israel's army front and center while stripping Palestinians of their humanity. Internal turmoil across all BBC News channels has been boiling since the start of Israel's genocidal war on the Palestinian enclave. On October 24, 2023, 2 weeks into Israel's bombardment of Gaza, BBC Arabic correspondent Rami Rouhaim accused the network of double standards. He noted that terms like massacre were freely used to describe Hamas, but were rarely applied to Israeli actions. He also called out the omission of key contexts like Israel's apartheid and historical ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. By November 2023, 8 more BBC journalists joined Rouhaim's critique, accusing the news channel of ignoring genocidal Israeli calls for a total blockade on Gaza and its use of dehumanizing language towards Palestinians. Management responded not by taking accountability, but rather by framing these concerns as mental health issues, offering staff support groups instead of addressing editorial malpractice. In March 2024, the Center for Media Monitoring added to the backlash, releasing a 150-page report accusing BBC News of stripping its Gaza coverage of the vital context of Israel's long-standing occupation and 16-year siege of the enclave, and using emotive language to describe Israeli suffering while ignoring the suffering of Palestinians and casting doubt on pro-Palestinian voices. BBC's Director of News Content, Richard Burgess, dismissed the findings outright, claiming he didn't recognize the bias, further deepening mistrust among wary BBC News staff. With its credibility taking a huge blow and mounting evidence of compromised impartiality, and yet no sign of accountability, the question many now are asking is, can BBC News actually be trusted?
Okay, can BBC News actually be? Oh, what have I done? Where am I? Sorry.
No.
No,
it can't be trusted. It hasn't been trustworthy for such a long time, but I do think this brought it. I think the level of bias that you could see in reporting, and just when you're on the website, it was too phenomenal to actually like be excused. Like I think sometimes their bias is like a 60-40. Like, you know, there's an edge to it, but okay, they'll show a little bit of the other side. It was so damning, and even like the way shots were framed of people as well. It's like there's a real way that you see the stark difference with like showing the atrocities in LA, and you really humanize it. Like the camera is on like face level with people, and it's always over or under, so they're larger, like they don't look human. Like there's a way that you can position the eye so people don't see the humanity in somebody. The grain, so the day looks different, like it looks dustier, it looks really far away, instead of actually just showing the normal light. And I've been to Israel, it looks like when you go to Spain, but they will cast a shadow on Palestine so you don't connect with it. Like this is somewhere I could have gone or could go. It's so insidious, but the BBC, they're a part of this as well. So I'm glad
they are.
That it's being called out. That was a brilliant piece again. That was so thorough.
Being called out from so early on as well. Like the journalists that actually were saying very early on, we noticed that there's a bias in the way that you're framing these stories. You know, like the language that you're using. You're saying you're calling one thing a massacre, and then you're calling the other things they lost their lives, or how did they lose their lives exactly? What happened to them? Did they walk outside and were they hit by a bus? Like, what exactly happened to these people? You know, when Israeli soldiers were killed, you're naming each of the soldiers, but you're not naming, the Palestinians. You're just saying, like, giving us massive numbers so that we become desensitized to what's actually happening to these people. I'm not surprised by it at all. I'm just, once again, quite disgusted.
It's that with them lying in your face as well. That's wild for the is it Greg Regis, or is that the guy's name? Who
Rafi, someone.
No,
Yeah.
not Rafi, the other guy, the other white guy that was shown. He saying that no, I don't see a bias. It's like when
Right?
when you work somewhere and you can see something happening, because again, this is back to the availability of source material. When it's there in your face, why you then as an employee or as a innocent user of a social media app, you start like, why are you lying? It's a lot more scary when someone's lying in your face and you're there experiencing it in real time. Like me, I start talking here, news and nonsense, and Farah saying, we're not on news and nonsense, we're on Auntie's main show. Farah, like, it starts to be very crazy.
But then it plays with your mental, it plays with your mind. Because you start thinking there's something wrong with me. And then the fact that in some of the briefing as well, when people said stuff, they were like, they framed it off as your mental health is being challenged. Do you need help? Would you like to speak to somebody? Do you know what I mean? It's like, hold on a minute, because I'm saying the truth, you're now telling me that I have a mental health issue. Well, maybe I do have a mental health issue. Maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe you're telling me the truth and what I'm seeing is actually not right. You know, just shit like that. It's so manipulative.
And
that's what they've done to the world. That is gaslighting people.
Absolutely.
That's gaslighting. So it's split. Yeah.
With that guy, as that guy Rafi was, when they were talking about the guy Rafi, I don't know who, because again, I don't know who is Jewish and who's not necessarily, unless it's very obvious by naming and stuff like that. But I was thinking, actually, in that position, when you're from a place and that place is doing wrong by the world, and you're in that position of power to then be unbiased, isn't it something like, even like a judge or a lawyer has to recuse themselves when something is too close to the bone, because they know they cannot, in good faith, act accordingly. They cannot act unbiased, whatever, so they have to recuse themselves. If you're in this position and you feel you should know, and especially the oath that you take as a journalist, and that's the big conversation about journalism, where the line between actual journalists and content creators is where the line is, because it's now everyone becomes a journalist without, let's say, doing the qualification. But then if you can't trust a journalist who's got the degree to tell the truth and report unbiasedly, as we are supposed to do as a qualified journalist, it starts to become very murky. So when you feel that you're going to go against the grain, it would be the honorable thing to do and recuse yourself, step down, aside.
But then that's you thinking as a journalist who is actually straight. Do you know what I mean? Like, exactly. A lot of these people that are in power, they've been given various different positions, you know, Minister of Defense, they've been put in, it's chess pieces, isn't it? They've been put in various places so that they can continue to run the world the way that they want it to be run. So by saying that, okay, he's in this, think about it, he's the head of the Middle Eastern news, online news, the Middle Eastern one. So that means that he's controlling how that is played out. Now, he's not in that position for no reason.
Precisely.
He's scolding journalists who might like a post that is pro-Palestine. But then he's posting his own shit, bragging about, look at my book on President Netanyahu's bookcase.
Getting gas.
It make fucking sense.
It's actually, even that in itself shouldn't be allowed in his position. That neutrality should run through everything that he does in his position as well. But if you think about all of the BBC journalists that have lost their jobs, have lost their shows on BBC News, on the radio for saying things, but even Gary Lineker having to basically like step down, like be removed, like all of these things for an organization that should be impartial, but you take a firm line on somebody when they speak up on something that is going on in the world. But is he not speaking up on another side that's going on in the world, and he still has his job? He's firmly aligning himself with Israel. Is that also not affirming a state in the world that isn't impartial? But it seems like that's okay. You can do that. No, the BBC, I mean, there's loads of reasons why the BBC needs to go. But on top of this, I'm hoping that maybe this will be the nail in the coffin. When the world wakes up to what lots of people have deemed as, when you're against it, that you are on the wrong side of history.
Let's think about it as well.
They're still protesting. I was in Swiss Cottage just the other day, and there was a full-on protest outside supporting, all with the Israeli flag. And I really was like, where are we? Like, how is this taking place? How can you see what I'm seeing and be like, no, this is okay. This is okay to bomb a set of people. I don't get, are they even human?
I don't think they are necessarily seeing everything that we're seeing. And I also think that they've been taught certain things from so very early on that it's difficult for them to unlearn that. It's not impossible, but it's difficult for them to unlearn that.
Go on.
No, I forgot what I was going to say anyway.
There's definitely an inbuilt fear-mongering that happens. And it's so difficult because, yes, you could look at what's going on and be like, yes, this is what happened to my people and my people were persecuted and da-da-da-da. And but then you can't then see this. Because I want to get that clip of Joe Biden.
That's what I was going to say. While you look for it, I was going to say, it's almost, if you look at the TikTok thing and the BBC and the news that spread out, Al Jazeera is one of the only platforms that is actually telling the truth. And if you look at it as well, why won't they allow journalists into this place?
Yeah.
No one seems to be fighting the cause of, well, why don't you, if it's wrong and what we're being shown is, because the rhetoric is what we're being shown from the journalists that are on the ground in Gaza, so the Palestinian journalists, is fake. That's what they say to us. They say it's all fake. That's not happening. So whilst these people are being bombarded, they've got time to make fake videos, okay? So they're saying that, all right, well, if it's fake, why don't you let journalists from around the world go in and see for themselves? You're not letting them go in. Every other war in inverted commas that's happened, journalists have been allowed to go in and to report on it. Every other fucking war. What is so different with this one? Why won't you let them in?
Let me play this clip.
When I went to Israel, immediately after their attack by Hamas, 8 days later, whatever it was, and I told them we were going to help. I said, but Bibi, I said, you can't be carpet bombing these communities. And he said to me, well, you did it.
So I don't know if Joe Biden intended to reveal what he revealed in that interview, if he was telling an anecdote and sort of just fell into it, but he appeared to indicate pretty clearly there that in a private conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu in the wake of the attacks on October 7th, Netanyahu was advocating for carpet bombing Gaza, or at least pointing out, some of the, I guess, lack of moral high ground that our country has in that area. And so, look, there's been a lot of criticism, I think rightly so, of the military strategy. Biden is indicating there that he was advocating in private the way that he has in public for them to dial back the violence and all that. And there has not been literal carpet bombing, certainly not on the scale that Netanyahu was referred to the US committing in World War II. But I would say that, like, if you just spread it out over a long period of time, is it fundamentally different? Like, doing it all at once has the term carpet bombing. If you do it over the course of months and destroy as many buildings and kill as many people, I don't know, the difference seems a little bit more academic than substantive at that point for me. But that said, we have a little bit more of Joe Biden and a little bit of what he was doing in regards to Benjamin Netanyahu.
I said, but Bibi, I said, you can't be carpet bombing these communities. And he said to me, well, you did it. You carpet bomb, not his exact words, but you carpet bomb Berlin. You dropped a nuclear weapon. You killed thousands of innocent people because you had to in order to win a war. I said, but that's why we came up with the UN. New deals by which what we would do relative to civilians and military.
So he was comparing 21st century war tactics, battle tactics, with World War II.
Well, what he was really doing is he was going after me for saying you can't indiscriminately bomb civilian areas, even if the bad guys are there. Even if the bad guys are there, you can't take out 2, 10, 12, 1,500 people, innocent people, in order to get the one bad guy.
And by the way, I don't want to blow Benjamin Netanyahu's mind or anything, but a lot of people no longer believe that much of that was necessary to draw those wars to a close.
I mean, you get the point.
Biden is hanging on by a thread, isn't he? Like literally, like life is like seeping away. But also that everything he said reeks of a man that knows in the future there are going to be full-on war crime charges leveled at everybody that participated in this, and he wants it to be on record somewhere that when that all happens, he was trying to tell him you can't do this. That's all that whole thing showed to me, is he just wants.
But do you know what?
Yeah, he wants to be like that.
It puts on record. He does. I try to tell him he wants to be like that. Yeah. Okay, you try to tell him. So all right, let's check the levels of this. Yeah. No, you come to me, and you say I'm gonna slit this man's throat, and I say no, you know you can't just slit this man's throat, and you say, but why not? And then I give you the knife.
Yeah.
You're not fucking innocent. You can sit on every national platform that you want and say, "Oh, I tried to explain to him that it was wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong." But you still let him do it, and you still funded him doing it. And so it doesn't even matter. And further on in the interview, there's a point where he actually says, "Oh, he made a strong case."
Yes.
He said, if you get to the tunnels, to get to the tunnels, you have to do this.
He made it like there's so many tunnels, amazing. The whole place is tunnels. It's tunnels. Like that, that's not even that aside, but the casual conversation that this appears to be, there's kind of slight smirk on his face. Like, how do you have this conversation? They're calling him like a nickname. It's like, what is going on here? Like,
that's the bit that makes me really sick.
Like, it's very, very strange. It's very insidious. It's disgusting. There's no justification for it. And like, he's just telling everything. This is not a conversation we need to hear about, to be honest. We actually don't need to know. It doesn't make him look any better. So
it just makes him look worse.
Yeah. To me, it's more like, well, we know, but you're giving us further evidence to the complicity that you. So you even have the words to be able to. So he says that you said to Netanyahu that you can't just bomb these people indiscriminately. Yeah. But so you were saying this 8 days later, but we are now 467 days later, and they have been bombing them indiscriminately, and you haven't done anything about it, and you've sent weapons and you funded it. You've done all of that. So what is this? Other than you giving us an admission that we know what they're doing. Is this like a bat signal to everybody? Like, we know what they're doing. Like they're really doing this. I don't get what his aim is, other than I'm innocent in all of this. When you guys come for me, it wasn't me.
I mean, okay. So overall, guys, is BBC news or nonsense at this point?
It's nonsense.
It's news.
I mean, it's news, but it's nonsense.
It's absolutely
news.
It's got to go. The BBC needs to go, definitely.
Just to lighten up the mood a bit, have you guys heard about the 53-year-old French woman named Anne who lost approximately $850,000 after being tricked into believing she was in a relationship with an AI-generated Brad Pitt? The scam, which spanned over a year and involved claims of cancer treatment, underscores the dangers of AI-enabled fraud. I have a video.
Have you seen the images? Have you seen the images that she was thinking was truly she was talking to?
I've not heard about this at all.
I'm going to show you the clip right now.
Oh my God.
Right, hold on a second. Let me share my screen. It's wild. It is absolutely wild. Brad Pitt.
I want to know why I don't ever meet these people that have all of this money. Like, look at the images.
Hey, because that's not actually Brad Pitt, and he's not actually posing for pics in a hospital.
Boy, you're in the know.
A 53-year-old French woman says these images, created with AI technology, scammed her into forking over $850,000 to someone she believed was an ill Brad. The woman detailed the con in an interview with 7 to 8 on French TV channel TF1, which was removed from the channel's platforms after she says she was cyberbullied over falling for the scam. She claims a person posing as the actor's mom DM'd her on Facebook, and a month later, the fake Brad started communicating with her himself, asking her to marry him, ditch her husband, and help him out with some medical bills he says he couldn't afford, because his money was tied up in his divorce to Angelina Jolie. In the sit-down, the woman explains that, quote, "At first I said to myself that it was fake, that it's ridiculous. But I'm not used to social media, and I didn't really understand what was happening to me." The woman, who was married to a millionaire at the time, ended up leaving her husband to pursue a relationship with the faux Brad and was duped into sending over the cash. As for how she finally caught on to the scam, when she came across a snap of the A-lister with his girlfriend, Inez de Ramon. She has reportedly filed a police report. Quote, "I ask myself why they chose me to do such harm like this. I've never harmed anyone. These people deserve hell." This comes months after the real Brad reacted to scammers stealing money by impersonating him. A rep for the actor telling ET in September, "It's awful that scammers take advantage of fans' strong connection with celebrities." Brad's team adding, "It's an important reminder to not respond to unsolicited online outreach."
So she basically spent her husband's money and sent it to a scammer. And that's why you were targeted, because there's probably somebody she knows is like, she is a gullible bitch and all we got to do is just work on AI. Can't you go onto Brad Pitt's page and see that he wasn't in hospital? Like,
I mean, I don't think he has a page, but he's making films. He's like the time that's been happening, he's making films. There's one of the pictures that she's got with him in a hospital bed and he's got a shaved head and the head looks like it's so removed from the body. Like the head is this big and the body's that small. Like, come on. Have you guys seen on Netflix, there's this Asian woman and she gets scammed as well. What's it called?
Yeah, Sweet Bobby.
It, Sweet Bobby. I forgot the name. Sweet Bobby is this, but without it. It's basically the same thing.
That's what I literally...
It's someone she knows now. It's her cousin.
Yeah.
Exactly. Someone's taking the ultimate piss. I mean, yes, she doesn't understand social media. She could be that detached. There's that, because she's come off social media now because she feels she's been bullied and she feels really embarrassed and stuff like that. People went in. They will go in.
I would too.
How?
Did she not speak to him on the phone?
Yeah, AI apparently. KW said, "Send her husband my way. She don't deserve it."
It's true.
Because I was going to say, and like, not to get into fascism and stuff like that, or featurism or anything, but a whole Brad Pitt wants you, like, and not to. I don't think. I mean, Brad Pitt to me doesn't mean anything, but you really have to think, who really wants me that level, and is like, I'm going to marry you. And I want to be with you without...
Leave your husband. Leave your millionaire husband.
On a text, no conversation. But it is like, why do people get taken in by this? We said with Sweet Bobby, we discussed it on one of the lives already. Like, why did she commit to this thing? When does it start becoming delusional? When do you start knowing that you're lying to yourself? You're just going through it because you're just hoping. What happens to the brain?
It's stuff like... Okay, you've got these pictures, right? But it's Brad Pitt. It's not like you can't see him in places. Like, he's meant to be in hospital for this long. How is Brad Pitt on a red carpet? How is he making films? How is he doing that? Like, how? Come on, it's Brad Pitt.
Realistically, it's Brad Pitt. How would you not know? Brad Pitt, big old Brad Pitt, has cancer. That's worldwide news. Why would you be the only one that knows that? We have the divorce stuff in the news all the time. He's cancer treatment, and you're sending over money, not £1,000, not 10,000, 700. Come on now, chick.
And like, he can't afford the treatment because of his divorce. Man's a millionaire. Yeah, any 10 grand that you said, any 10 grand that you send him is not even a drop in the ocean. Like, come on, your husband's a millionaire. Can you not see how millionaires move?
Why is this conversation?
Send me the money.
I said that's the money.
Why is this?
I will talk to you.
Why is this important conversation happening on social media in the DMs?
Well, apparently his mum got into. Even that, his mum DM'd. What are you even saying, chick?
Like, imagine Trevante Rhodes, his mum rings you a quail.
I might
Hi,
believe
Claire.
that.
I've heard you say that you love my son. If you really love my son, you'll help him through this time of need. Can you send him some money? Here he is. He can't
Sure.
speak right now because he's just had an operation.
It's the thing, like, I'm too. I mean, I don't know. There's people that will ask all the questions and be like, "This is bullshit," and there's people that won't. And I don't understand this woman and the woman in the Sweet Bobby documentary. It's like, what is it? I really do want to understand what turns your brain common sense off. What is it? Because you can't just. You have to allow the pepper because she's upset. People are making jokes at her. They had to take the show down from the front of the show the station they aired. But why did you fall for it? You can't sit there and expect people not to bury you.
And she's a millionaire. So that means that she could have got on a private jet at any point to go to this place that he says that you're at. Okay, I'm coming to the hospital now. I'm coming now, Brad. I'm coming now.
Lil Rock says, William Smith says, have sympathy, guys. She was groomed. Was she groomed?
She was scammed. She wasn't.
She was scammed. Let's not throw that word around.
Throwing that word.
No, she was scammed.
Yeah,
and she may be gullible in life anyway. This may just be the biggest scam because most of the time I do think it probably is somebody that has worked with her, kind of knows her in a way, and would know that she is susceptible to this type of scam. The same as the Sweet Bobby one, like with her cousin. You're gonna know there's a personality strand that actually, if I weave a big enough web, their brains will try and figure this out and make it real. And this is the thing. You're usually bombarded with lots of information quickly, so you're trying to decipher what it is. But this is a big old Brad Pitt. Like, honestly, chick, come on now. Let's be serious. He's going to reach out to you in France. Like, that's wild.
But then he's on the red carpet in Cannes the next day.
Because the money works, guys. The money helps him.
The medication's helping.
Yeah.
The money you're sending is helping.
On all seriousness, you know what? Loneliness will get you to fall for this. Most people are scared to die alone. Maybe she was lonely in her marriage, but that's where you then seek help to get out of that restrictive marriage. Maybe something's going on. Maybe, people say they're in a marriage, but yet they feel alone, isolated. Something's going on to the fact that you
understand.
Then you also had the strength. Maybe you need, I don't know. She wasn't scared to divorce her man.
Or spend his money.
Oh, exactly.
I don't know how sorry I can feel for her because her husband was the millionaire, so she spent it. Let me not even get into that because we don't know what her husband could have been doing. Her husband could have been a total arsehole. So fair enough. But it's just, I wish people would take, at some point, if this is going on for a period of time, you have to be like, well, what's happening? At some point, you can't meet up. You're seeing him around still doing stuff. You've got to question it.
Okay.
Like you can't go to the hospital. It's a bit much.
It's a bit. It's like Sweet Bobby she had phone sex with the guy.
The girl, yeah.
That is such a liberty. Her cousin is just disgusting.
Her cousin is bad.
That was a wild situation, and for the sheer amount of time that you're putting into this and the years that you're scamming this person.
Yeah. Like, and scamming her life as well.
Scamming her life.
That's the part I feel sorry for.
She lost her baby.
But even with this woman, that's the part I feel sorry for. You're taking away the years of their life. Yeah. That's what I feel sorry for because they'll never get that time back again.
Yeah.
And, they've dedicated this period to this person and it's just a scam.
So this for Miss K, I saw this story on YouTube yesterday about a British woman who was scammed out of big money too. However, the scammer made a deep fake video, so they actually spoke. These scammers are finding new ways. We have to just. I think anyone asks you for money online. It's just let's not do that. No one outside your friendship circle can just. Let's not be open to that. There's no one on this earth that can email me and say send me money. I just don't. It doesn't work. And again, I'm thinking about Sweet Bobby because her cousin drew it out, but that she took too long. Maybe a bit longer for the Sweet Bobby one to like, oh shit, this seems like it's unreal. But in general cases, in my friendship circle, my family circle, there's no way anyone can ask me for money. And I'm just like, you know what? For real.
Do you know why the Sweet Bobby case was a bit sad as well? Because remember, she said she saw him out and she was like, Bobby.
Oh.
And he was like,
oh God, that was such a that was sad. And also, you see, even that he looked at her like, who the hell are you? Still didn't sit in her head like, you know, like the next time you're online to actually say, oh my God, I saw you in Brighton. Like, that didn't
she
take
didn't
place.
want to talk about it. Yeah.
All
But,
of that,
but her
it was-
cousin knew her insecurities. That's the part. Her cousin
yeah.
really knew what her insecurities were.
On a very low level, we talk about relationships and stuff like that and insecurities. Sometimes when you're with someone and you know they're wrong or you have suspicions, but it's like, if I ask these questions, I'm going to get the answers that I don't want. So I want to be in blind oblivion. It gets that. There's that moment, and that's on a low level of just having some dodgy dick. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, but you're right. It's so true. You don't want to rock the boat, innit?
No, it's wrong, but I'm glad it makes me feel good.
I don't want to say that because those dick will have to stop.
Yeah.
I think there are definitely loads of moments like that that she probably had, like, oh, that's a little, and then it is the ego will kick in and give you a story of why that ask is reasonable. And then it can be like, oh yeah, Angelina the bitch, she's taking all of his money. You will talk yourself out of being reasonable and using your logic, following your instincts. Like, I'm being duped here, and maybe she had gone too far. Like, she had done 400k, and it's like, I'm in now. This has to be real. And then she keeps on sending money. It's like, and that's the time factor. I mean, that was the same thing with Sweet Bobby. It's like the time. I've known him 5 years. It must be real. But things are, I'm losing my job. I can't eat. But it's like, it has to be real because I've given so much time to it.
And the cousin was a bitch there as well.
Yeah.
Because remember, the cousin was always like, starting to control her as well. Like, you can't go out. I need to speak to you. Like, how mad is that?
Interrupting family time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stopping her from doing certain things. Did someone die or someone was sick or something happened? I can't even remember. But there were so many wild stories that she couldn't engage in because I have to talk to Bobby. Bobby's going to call me at 7:00. I've got to be there on the other end of the phone. What a bitch.
But as you were saying, she was harassing her while they were together.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a level of, and then she's still living her life. She still has a man.
Yeah.
How, I don't get how the cousin was playing all of these roles and still living her own life.
Yeah,
exactly. And I swear the cousins found her man and gone off and got married, and so she got a little bit of sewage, and that's it. Like, being sued. And this is the thing, when you don't think about the consequences. There's to the person themselves, the victim unaliving themselves. There's to the extent where they go outside and take it outside to the streets. Speaking of taking things outside to the streets, first of all, is this news or nonsense?
It's nonsensical news.
Yeah, it's that part. I like that. It's definitely
everything is nonsensical news.
I have a smidgen of sympathy for her, and that's why I think she should sponsor the pod.
You can come on if you want. We can talk to you.
You got a bit of money. Let's make it happen.
You can talk to us. We can,
all right, guys. So
speaking
of things being taken to the streets because of Drake, he's had a lawsuit pressure. He has initiated a federal defamation lawsuit against Universal Music Group, UMG, accusing the company of approving and profiting from false and damaging allegations made about him in Kendrick Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us. The legal filing claims UMG prioritized financial gain over the safety and reputation of its artists. Drake claims the song contains unmistakable and false factual allegations that he's a criminal pedophile, suggesting the public should take vigilante action against him, take it to the streets. He said he had to take his son out of school and move him and the baby mother out of the town or whatever. And his legal team argues that UMG approved, published, and launched a campaign to turn the song into a viral hit, despite knowing the claims were false and dangerous. So far, how do you feel about Drake's lawsuit? I'm going to go to an explanation.
Should Kendrick countersue? Because I mean, I'm not even suggesting that he should do, by the way, but I still find it nonsensical that Drake is coming out and doing this and saying, I've had to take my child out of school and move the mother of my child because of the claims about me and my person. You said Kendrick beats his wife. You said Kendrick's kids are not his own. You said these words. You said that. So has Kendrick had to move his family because the kids are telling the kids in school, he's not your daddy anyway? You know, like, you can't be in a rap beef. And Drake shot first. He did. Yeah. He fired first.
He told Drake what to write. Go on.
Sorry, I'm just ranting. You can't be in a rap beef and, like, in a rap beef, isn't it meant to be no holds barred? Isn't that what you were displaying? No holds barred. And the things that you were saying about Kendrick, you were no holds barred. So when Pepper hit your flesh, how are you now crying?
Listen, I think it's wild of him to his first lawsuit. That was crazy in itself. But you know how his team was like really pushing this, like, no, this is going to help out all artists. Like, this is going to change the music business. Like, now it's going to be fair, level playing field. Like, he's taking one for the team. We got to be Team Drake. And everyone was like, this is still kind of Karen behavior, but let's see where it goes. You dropped that. And you did the lawsuit that everybody was saying Drake is such a Karen, he will do. You did that. You went for defamation. You actually did exactly what Charlemagne said you were going to do. You did it head on, straight. This has affected my livelihood. That's a rap beef, dude. It's supposed to affect you. You took an L. You didn't win. Just take the L and shut up. But now you've stepped into the big boy ring again, and you literally are like, I'm showing my whole ass to everybody. This is me now. Can Drake really survive this? Like, where is the shred of credibility to ever really listen to Drake properly again? Like, to really show yourself in this manner is wild that anybody around him would be like, you know what? Let's do a defamation on this. Let's do it.
Take him seriously.
Let me play this conversation between Harvey Levin, the editor of TMZ or the owner of TMZ, and Big Boy having this conversation.
Drop. And what lawsuit did he pick up?
This is so weak to me on Drake's part. I am shocked he's doing this. So he's suing Universal, his label, and Kendrick's label, right? He is not, and he's suing for defamation because you know that in Not Like Us, you know, Kendrick uses the word pedophile, and you know, Drake's understandably angry about that. But he is suing Universal for defamation because words like that are used in the song. But he's not suing Kendrick.
Right.
Kendrick is the one who wrote the song. Kendrick is the one who performed the song. Kendrick is the one who performs it live. Kendrick is the one who's probably going to sing it at the Super Bowl. So then the question, why would he sue Universal for publishing it, but not sue the guy who's behind it? And the only answer I could get is, well, defamation is defamation, but business is business, and I'm going to get dragged, so I'm just not going to do that. And I just think that's really weak.
Yeah, I didn't quite, even when we were on air speaking about, I didn't quite understand it. You know, and I would think with a broad stroke, yeah, you would bring Kendrick, you would bring Mustard and those kind of things, but is it a bigger picture when you say I'm going against Universal Music Group?
No. I mean, I think the picture is he's afraid to sue Kendrick because that's the easiest one, and that's the first one. And yet he didn't sue him. And I think it's because he's afraid. I mean, look, there was this war. Kendrick won it. But I think Drake is showing fear by not suing Kendrick along with Universal. And then the other thing about Universal is he's saying, look, he believes that Universal put this out intentionally to devalue Drake so that in the next contract negotiation, which is coming up soon, they could pay him less. That is crazy to me, that the idea that his own label would try and torpedo him so that they would, because if they ruin his career intentionally, they're going to make less money by definition, whatever they pay him. If Drake's up here, Universal's up here. If Drake's down here, That's where Universal is too.
Right.
So why would they intentionally destroy him? For what? I mean, how is Universal going to benefit from that? It doesn't make sense to me.
Hey, Harvey, do you know what this TikTok ban means?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It means fucking
You know the level of Drake's team and their ego and the perception of like that he can do no wrong or something, like, you know, they're going to stand behind him whatever is going on. I'm still at a loss as to how anybody can justify what he's doing. Like, truly, like, this is a smart move that you actually go after Lucian Grange, who you was actually in cahoots with. It feels like a lover's tiff, you know, when two people are just split up and one person is like, I have to ruin you. I have to take something from you. I can't just leave. It's like he's so bitter that Lucian didn't protect him. He's lost all sense, which again shows that there was an inherent bias to Drake even being the number one. It's like he's demonstrating this point in being so outraged that he isn't the number one anymore. It's like, what are you doing? You're literally just ruining your legacy. Nobody's even doing it for you. You're ruining it. I don't get it.
He's not going to sue Kendrick. He's not going to sue Kendrick because somewhere in his warped little brain, he thinks that people will see that as petty. Like, it's not even about the rap battle anymore. I don't need to sue Kendrick. It's about business. It's about the fact that it's defamation of character. What are you talking about? And, you know, like someone just put in the comments as well that they're saying that it's anti-Semitic as well because
basically, the colonizer.
It could be your colonizer because you're Canadian. It could be that. Why are you jumping to that, Drake? Why are you jumping to that?
When black people talk about colonizer, we don't mean anyone but white folks. It is not. When it comes to colonizing, we're talking about usually about the Americans and the British and the Spanish and the Portuguese that came and colonized us. They're not referencing anybody.
But it's also about somebody taking something that isn't theirs. Yeah. And that's what Drake has effectively done. He's come and he's taken from other people because I've called him a colonizer and I've called him a parasite and I've called him a bunch of things because what he does is he aligns himself to certain people and then he steals their styles. He does that. And then all of a sudden you're talking about Blem. But you're using it in the wrong context. You go to London, you hang out with Skepta and whoever the hell else you're hanging out with, Dave and whatnot, and then you start using the word Blem, but you put it in a rap that it makes no fucking sense at all because Blem is a cigarette, but you're not talking about it like that. You're using it. This is what he does. And all Kendrick did was hail him out.
It just shows the fact that exactly that it is culture vulture and you're buying into this fake buy into something that you're not really a part of. Because yes, there's a wonderful kind of like whatever, me and my brain. But anyway, there's a video on YouTube where they talk about the fact that Drake was so desperate to be accepted into the culture that he found his way in. He's acted his way in. He's previously an actor. He acted his way into this space. You did a good job. I'm not going to deny that you did a good job. But you have to have the core and the root and the heart and soul of hip hop to really understand that you would never do this. You've had all the rap beefs of history. And like, when you're talking about being defamed and insulted and something that's dangerous to your legacy, no one wants to be called a pedophile. But I think that being called a pedophile was beyond, I don't even actually think people generally were like, Drake is a PDF file. Sorry. I don't think people actually even really, if Drake came back with a banger or came back with a track that topped Kendrick's, all of that would have gone out the window. It was that
most definitely.
I'm not going to lie and say that when he made it worse for a number of reasons. He made it worse because when it happened, he didn't even dispute that fact. He didn't. So then people did start thinking stuff. I'm not going to lie and say that I didn't see footage come out afterwards about it because I saw an interview. Was it Pot of Paper? Might have been Pot of Paper that was not dissing, but like saying that Drake doesn't like him. But it was a video footage that was taken like way before the rap beef, and he said in this interview Drake he likes young girls. So that's a rumor that's been going out. So it's not even something that Kendrick just brought out himself. People say that shit about Drake, but he didn't help himself by not talking about it.
Exactly, and you were texting me.
You know what? I just want to go to the beginning of the the lawsuit that has put forward, that he's trying to frame that shooting that took place at his residence, like that is totally off the back of the track coming out. That it's like in the middle of the night on May the 7th, 2024, an armed group of assailants drove up to the Toronto house in which Drake and his family resided. Drake was inside. The car stopped in front of the residence. Someone yelled, "Fuck Drake!" And at least one gunman began to open fire. Now, people could say fuck Drake at that moment in time for so many different reasons. Not because of the Kendrick beat. You were literally beefing almost every single rapper out there at this moment in time. You align yourself with people in Toronto that have beefs too. So it's like it could be over anything. To really take that incident and then put that into the lawsuit that this is a canon effect, when you know you were beefing Future, you had diss tracks going back and forth.
The whole Kendrick thing started because Kendrick was on a track with Future and he literally said, "This not top 3, it's just, or this not big 3, it's just big me." Yeah, and you hated it because you and Future are already in beef. And I forget who's the other guy, the producer, Metro Boomin. That's it. Right, you were in beef with so many people, like Nana said, like you can't just single it out. Also, you're a dickhead, so you can't just single it out to be this. You go around displaying dickhead behavior all the time.
And also, go on, finish.
No, go on.
And also, yes, there's an element of there's people could be influenced by a song, but this because he tried to say what would incite violence. I don't believe so. And you can't control the crazies of the world. The people out there, let alone if this is someone that was that crazy to go and shoot up Drake's thing because they listen to Not Like Us, there are hundreds and thousands of songs that need to be taken off the airwaves because there are hundreds and thousands and millions of songs that actually tell people to go and do stuff to do to people. So then you can't. I don't think it's a strong enough argument at all.
He needs to then stop making rap songs because he said some shit too. Yeah. He has said some shit himself. So then stop rapping. Go back to acting. Pete Davidson said that him being Drake is his greatest role of ever. Like, you know, he's Aubrey. This is Aubrey.
So
pretending to be a rapper.
And also talking about taking people's livelihoods, Drake's legal team specifically cited prominent online personalities, including Kai Cenat, No Life Shaq, RDC Gaming, Cartier Family, and Zayas and Bilal, accusing them of profiting from reaction videos to Not Like Us. Their content reportedly garnered millions of views, with Kai Cenat's video achieving 9 million views. The lawsuit claims UMG allowed these creators to monetize their reactions without enforcing copyright claims, intentionally fueling the song's virality despite its defamatory themes. Now, I've watched a few of these reactors, and the reactors have said, we made money from both of them. Both of the tunes were not, they allowed them to monetize on both tunes. Drake and Kendrick's tunes that were released, I think it's Part 6 and
it's all of them. That was the whole thing. That's why it did so well online.
Yes,
because
both of them.
You didn't get copyright. They opened it up, so there was no copyright strike.
Exactly.
That's fair. That's fair. You both wanted that, isn't it?
Absolutely. And also the people that he's naming, they do reaction videos anyway.
So
this is not new. Okay, how it's been played and the rights and all those things, that's different. But this is not new. It's their fucking job. That's what they do. React to videos.
And this is another thing. So what? And a lot of them have said we would have done it anyway, whether we got paid or not, because this is what we do.
You don't see Quavo suing Chris Brown, and Chris Brown bodied Quavo in the diss track. The reason why people aren't talking about all the disses, remember there was a whole bunch of diss tracks that were coming out before the Kendrick and Drake one. It's just that was the hottest one that came out, but there were so many of them. You don't see Jada and Steph suing each other. It don't fucking happen.
And to be fair, like Steph could have, because Jada went in lots of different ways. Her family, Dutchavelli, she went in on her. Like, it's not the done thing. You take your L and you keep it moving. If you just shut up, we wouldn't even be talking about that like that. Like it would always be a banger when it's played, but nobody would really be focusing on his dramatic L. But he couldn't just be quiet. Just shut your mouth.
Exactly.
His noise recently, I'm just going to play this clip from so there's some Bilu who have been mentioned in the defamation. They call a lawyer up to basically see if they can counter to. It's quite fun.
Dimitri, there you go. I haven't been able to rest. I haven't.
Oh, 1 second.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Him mentioning us in his lawsuit,
bro.
I haven't been able to rest. I haven't been at ease all day.
Bro, me either, bro. You see, I was up 5 a.m.
Emotional distress.
I haven't been able to sleep.
What's going on?
I think it's a great idea. House sitters get somewhere to stay, and we, the house owners, get someone to.
What's good, Dimitri? I'm trying to get your legal advice from trying to get your legal advice on something real quick.
Sure, what's up?
So is there any play in a countersuit with Drake's lawsuit, being that he mentioned us? I'm on stream, by the way. Because I'm not gonna lie, like when I saw me and B-Lou was mentioned in the lawsuit, I haven't been at ease all day.
Well, what did it say? I actually didn't. I was unaware of that.
Yeah. It said that it made claims that we reacted in a certain way because UMG lifted our copyright, and I've been getting all kinds of threats.
Yep,
from OVO, and like my family been getting threats. They've been like finding my address. I've just been distressed all day.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you and B. Lou reacted to a Drake music video. Is that what you're saying?
We reacted to Not Like Us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then UMG, you were mentioned in the lawsuit, but you weren't sued, correct?
Right. But them mentioning us,
me up.
It really has me at my heart been beating a certain type of way that it hasn't beaten before. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, like.
And then the threats is just man, they coming in left and right.
It's
You
like,
know them fans.
I'm getting all type of messages now. People saying sell out. Like
they saying don't make me come find you. I'm OVO.
Are they insinuating that you guys were siding with Kendrick and like
yes.
trying to like trash Drake? Is that
right.
what you're saying?
They're saying that we helped in the defaming of Drake.
I see. Okay. And there's that's false, correct?
Absolutely.
100%.
I'm at an absolute emotional distress since I'm like, how dare he?
Okay. All right. Well, you guys are technically like journalists, so you can, as long as you're not saying anything too crazy, you pretty much can have like freedom of the press. You kind of say whatever for the most part. So
right.
And I'd like to watch that video. Is it still up?
Yeah, it's still up. The Not Like Us video is still up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me watch the video and see how you guys reacted, and then I'll give you a call back, kind of let you know what I think.
Just off, like, just from experience, what's like how much you think we would be able to get or sue for if we did a countersuit? Emotional distress.
Yeah, I mean, you have to prove that it hurt your business and how it's affected you personally. Maybe you guys are losing brand deals and stuff now. Maybe you guys are, the threats and stuff caused you guys sleepless nights.
I couldn't sleep last night.
I usually take naps during the day. I couldn't do it today. I went to the gym. You know me, I like working out. I went to the gym. I only did one set.
Yep. One set. All the stuff matters. So
anyway,
look at his face. It's so funny.
That's a brilliant place to stop.
Yeah, that was I had sweet joy with that because it is
your money, Kim. Get your money.
But yeah, so Drake. I mean, let's see where this goes because it's a kind of like it's a big bitch play to try and get Kendrick not to do anything, and we don't even know what Kendrick's going to do because generally, not like us, you can't really play it at the Super Bowl in its entirety. So you could do the theme, you could do the instrumental, you could do just not. They're not like us. There's bits of it because it is a.
All
family.
he has to do is ho.
That's ho. Those were certain words because it's a family show. We all know that now. the Super Bowl is super tight
Yeah.
on things, and it has to be a family friendly. So it's going to be
what he
not
has
like
to
us
do is
dancing
play
in the general
rhythm.
part anyway, instrumental, chorus, and done.
Yeah.
So all this noise that Drake is making, it's just it's played out.
No, but it is one of the biggest stages. He is like it re-emerges again. You know, all the songs for that get performed at the Super Bowl, it does trend again. He's just stupid. He should just let it happen. You just let the moment happen. The world is going to forget. Trump will tweet something. The world will move on. It's like you're just not that. You're not that big a deal. And as Little Rock says, he actually should. It would be great if he did have dancers that were lookalike Drakes. That would be phenomenal. Kendrick, he should just take the piss now. It's to make him explode. Just literally take the piss with him.
But what I also thought would be great, or something that I thought, someone else said it, and I thought this is great. He should just totally ignore, not even. Obviously, you're going to have to do something to do with some of the tunes that you've made, but to ignore Drake also would be the biggest kind of diss, because it's like, you don't even matter to me. 2025, and this is still dragging on. Kendrick is moving on. Like, he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, I do feel like he's not gonna. It won't be the focus of his performance.
It won't be. It can't be.
It's not going to be the main focus of his performance, but it will be in there. But it just won't be like the big song.
Kendrick's got a multiple catalog of tunes. Drake, it's got, for people that don't listen to Kendrick, people that only think that Drake is the #1 rapper, Kendrick had the #2 selling live show as well under Drake. So it's not like Kendrick needed, not like us, to be this person. It's for those that didn't understand Kendrick's music or not used to Kendrick's music, thinking that he didn't do party music. Whatever the case is, he was doing quite fine before this beef, and he'll do quite fine after this beef. It's okay. Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, as somebody had said anyway, like Drake in one of the tracks did say, like, you know, talk about me. Like, so you pointed him in a direction. You just didn't know that he was going to be lyrically great about it. He didn't know what type of a banger it was going to be. That's how it goes, though. That's a beef. You lose in it. When you get sparked in your face, you got to take the L when you keep it moving.
Exactly.
Like, it's how it goes. Oh no, Celine says, I saw someone yesterday wearing an OVO hoodie. It looks sad. You can't even the owl. When I see an owl thing around, it's like, oh no.
Listen, I bought my daughter, this was years ago, because I actually loved the branding and the logo of OVO. And I got my daughter, this was about 5-6 years ago, a really nice black hoodie and the embossing of the owl. That hoodie is now, I mean, it's an old hoodie now, so it's gone. But the fact that you can't wear that again, you can't wear that around me.
I wouldn't. He would embarrass me. Even if I was a fan, I'm embarrassed.
No,
it's that part. It's just that he's such a little bitch about it all. It's that part. It's just you've got no credibility anymore. You're just
gonna come back and just make good tunes.
Actually pathetic.
And come back. And no, you've made all this noise, disrespecting.
Do you remember what the thing that I also remember is when it was all happening and he was really trying to play it off because he thought, oh, at any point it's not gonna continue. Like, didn't he put out certain things? Like, there was an image when he wrote, "Oh, not like us," like when he was trying to advertise some sort of clothing that he was doing, and it's just not landing because you just need to be quiet and just forget about it and move on. But you're not moving on.
Waving your hand.
Put out that album, it went nowhere.
Yeah. It is what it is.
He's thoroughly pissed off. I would love to actually sit down with him and just be like, bro, this is the worst way. You destroyed this whole thing, man. You didn't have to do this. Like, you just ended your reign at the top. Like, I can't see him coming back from this. This is it's only a climb. He may end up like Ja Rule. Like, remember when Ja Rule was riding and then 50 did to him, and then he was literally like, then you're doing Fire Festival.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sad. Like, oh, it's sad.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to be at the top where he was.
All right. Is this news or nonsense?
Nonsensical news.
We are going to have to rename this blog. Nonsensical news and more. All right, let's keeping it on rappers, a lot more serious actually. There's been a spate of drill rappers snitching on themselves. In the UK, we've had drill rappers. Listen to the story. Drill rappers have faced increasing scrutiny as lyrics boasting about crimes have been used as evidence in high-profile cases, sparking debates about the role of music in promoting violence. on trend. Recent convictions and a parole recall highlight how drill tracks can backfire on the artists themselves. So first of all, we had drill rapper KO and 3 associates who received life sentences for the murder of Casey Booth, who was shot outside a child's birthday party in Walthamstow in 2022. KO's lyrics in KO Laughingstock, the track's called KO Laughingstock, detailed the crime and mocked the victim's family, providing key evidence in court. Similarly, Jake Fahey, convicted of killing 16-year-old Jimmy Misen in 2008, was recalled to prison after releasing drill tracks under the alias 10 that reference his crime. His lyrics describe the murder and glorified violence, prompting public outrage. I have a video to kind of detail that some more. Let me share my screen. Oh, let's go. All right, here we are.
Was sentenced to Could the killer who stabbed a teenager to death in 2008 now be glorifying that murder through lyrics? Jake Fahey was sentenced to a minimum of 14 years after he murdered Jimmy Misen outside a South London bakery. It's now believed the drill artist, known as 10, is Jake Fahey, and some of his music has been aired on the BBC. Well, Mahathir Pasha has been following this story for us. Mahathir, what can you tell us today?
Well, Lucy, the Ministry of Justice has launched an investigation following reports that a drill rapper who's apparently boasted about committing murder is Jake Fahey. Fahey was convicted of murdering teenager Jimmy Misen in 2009 after he threw a glass dish at him, which shattered and severed an artery in his neck at a bakery in South London. Now 35, Fahey was released from prison on license after serving a minimum sentence of 14 years in the summer of 2023. It's emerged since then that 10, a drill artist who conceals his identity with balaclavas in videos, is reportedly Jake Fahey. In one of these tracks, 10 appears to reference Jimmy's death with lyrics like, "See a man's soul fly from his eyes and his breath gone. I wanted more, it made it less." Wrong. The mother of Fahey's victim expressed her shock and says she wants to see this kind of music removed from all platforms.
Since Jake has come out of prison, I suppose I've always been expecting something, but not this. This is the lowest thing he could possibly have done. So I think it's just beyond words. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be shocked. But this isn't just about Jimmy. It's about all those other young people who have lost their lives, because it just shows you the callousness and unkindness of some people.
Now, the BBC has been criticised for effectively being one of the platforms that shared 10's music in Radio Extra 1. They've defended themselves by saying they've never and that they will not be playing his music again. They also added they were unaware of his background and they in no way condone his actions.
So, Mahathir, what will the Ministry of Justice actually be investigating?
I think it's difficult to say at this point, Lucy. Many, of course, will be watching very closely to see what the Ministry of Justice's investigation finds. It's unclear at this stage if boasting about committing murder in the form of a music video is, in fact, a breach of prison release conditions.
That's literally what I was thinking was, how do you get him back in for doing music? I think he should go back in because he's showing a lack of remorse on it. But actually, your grounds for revoking a license, I wouldn't have thought that this was a part of that. But either way, it would be great if because he's obviously not sorry. And 14 years for taking somebody's life, to me, is not enough anyway. I think he needs to absolutely do a minimum of 10. He needs to come out when he's 50 because he did it so young. So that I feel like that's a fair trade on it. And the fact that you only did 14 years anyway, and you came out and you put that in a track, you're nuts. You're stupid. You're so stupid. If that was my family member, I'd be you deserve to go back in, even if you're there until you die. Like, you're that dumb. You got a second chance. You took a soul. You got a second chance. You're only in your 30s. You could carry on, have a family, live your life, be successful, change your life around. But you chose to be an arse and just chat shit on drill. Oh, you deserve to be back in prison.
Yeah.
And have you guys seen so Marcus Rashford has had to come out and make a statement. Were you going to say that?
No,
Okay.
you can take it.
So Marcus Rashford has had to come out and make a statement because a tabloid newspaper is trying to link him to this rapper 10. There's allegedly a photo of Marcus Rashford taking a picture of him like a year ago, and they're trying to link it together. Now, this is the thing that pisses me off. You're trying to bring down Marcus Rashford. You're trying to tie him in with this guy, and he may not even know anything. He's actually said, "I don't even know what the picture is. I do not know this person." But you're trying to tie in this heinous stuff that this guy's doing, and you're trying to bring in Marcus Rashford as well, because that's what the tabloids do. Like, they're all bad. Every one of them are fucking bad. But to your point about him and the heinous stuff that he's doing, absolutely echo that. But I didn't like how the ITV News were trying to make out like BBC One Extra are also to blame, and it's just, I don't know. It's very strange. Because I listened to BBC One Extra, and I'm just wondering, like, I wonder what show it was on, because they do censor a lot of their music, and I'm just surprised that this actually slipped through the net, because they censor the music quite a bit. So it's interesting to me.
I think I mean, generally, don't be making music. I mean, don't be making music that details any type of explicit murder. I know there's that argument like storytelling, but we do know that drill specifically is quite detailed and has detailed actual occurrences, because it's music made between gangs targeting.
Rap has just rap, not just drill. Rap has.
I know. I'm just saying that specifically. We're talking about, I'm just expanding on the conversation. That I lost my train of thought now, but I'm just saying that for anyone making music, that I do want to question or look at what it is, where the line is. Where do we draw the line on? Yes, I can talk about murder and death and killing people, but to what extent is it like is enough? Or to what extent should we actually? No, let's not. And I suppose we can't curtail, because we don't curtail gangster films. We don't do this. But then I don't know. Because the older I get, because when I was younger, I listened to gangster rap, I listened to everything. I didn't care. I didn't have any filter. As you get older, you understand the damage that it does have on us, and it does have on a community and a culture. That saying that this is freedom of speech and you're allowed to say what you want. And that's that whole argument with YSL. This is a conversation with Drake. Like, all the things that are in lyrics that are in songs being policed shouldn't be, and should they not be brought into evidence? If someone has suspicion that you're a gang member, or you're not even a gang member, you're a criminal who's committed a heinous crime or accused of committing a heinous crime, and then you have some evidence in a track that kind of details backing up what you've been accused of, I'm not sure I disagree with it being entered into the chat, into the courtroom chat, because
no, I think it should. Yeah, I think it should.
You're just chatting on yourself. It's almost like catching them on a telephone call. Like, if you're that stupid, like the other guy was, the K5 or K0, whatever his name was, you're chatting about a scenario that takes place, and you're talking about literally like, we did this to and they couldn't even finish doing the candy dance. Like, so you're giving details off. In a chat, it weren't even that good. You weren't even the shooter. This is the thing. You were there, and now you're doing life for murder. You're so stupid. You deserve to be in prison. They can round them all up now. Like, you see how they managed to cut down the crime in Venezuela from rounding up anybody even affiliated with gangs. I know it's a human rights atrocity, but I'm over this cultural thing taking people's lives. Round them all up. Even if they were just standing across the road, you should have ran away. Like, round them all up, put them somewhere, and let's
I am not a fan of joint enterprise in the least, because I know people and I have family members that have been highly affected by joint enterprise, by being someone who was just across the road and don't have nothing to do with it. So I'm not a fan of that. I am a fan.
I really am. Like, get rid of all of them.
I'm not a fan of that, because joint enterprise could affect you. Joint enterprise could affect you.
Literally could. 2 nephews in it. Round them up, put them somewhere else. Because if you don't value your life and the lives of other people,
that's not what I'm saying.
You have to go.
Because joint enterprise has been manipulated, and it's been used in a way to round up too many black boys that have actually nothing to do with anything. I'm not No, but that you could be there by chance.
If you're there,
you could be there. You could be there by chance, is what I'm saying, and then you're being done for something you have nothing to do with. I am not a fan
if you're
of
affiliated
joint enterprise at all. No, but
if
people
you're
aren't affiliated. But joint enterprise doesn't mean you're affiliated.
Case, that's what you have to fight.
But
That's what you have to fight. That's justice.
It isn't though, and that's what joint enterprise does.
That's what I'm saying. That's what you would seek. You would seek justice. You would seek the justice.
But it doesn't.
If you had no
the way that joint
affiliation,
enterprise is. No, but that's not what. But what I'm trying to explain is joint enterprise doesn't care about if you're affiliated or not. It doesn't care. You could have been living your life like in the best possible way, but because they want to get to a sentencing, you, as I said, you could just be across the road and have nothing to do with these people. But joint enterprise, the way that works is that you are done. You're done with all of them. So I'm not a fan of that at all. I'm just not. People's lives have been ruined because of joint enterprise. Absolutely ruined.
As I stated, if you are affiliated, you was there, you were witnessing, you were hanging with, and you get caught up in something and you go down, I think round them up, put them away. We just do not need this cultural phenomenon to carry on. It takes too many lives in various sides, from taking a life, from your life being taken. It's actually just a culture that needs to end. And it is in all forms. It is the lyrics. It is One Extra. They are complicit in it. Even though they censor stuff, it's still you're okay with the culture being carried on. This is a culture that has been created and has been funded and sustained and pushed, which terrorizes too many people's lives. It's not okay. When people were talking about rap back in the day to stop it, there was a wisdom that the older people did know that actually there are seeds of this violence that will carry on for generations. And now we are seeing it. It doesn't need to, that wasn't the foundations of hip hop. It's like, it's not a culture that we need to be supporting in any way, shape or form, or even just because it's a black body that is being taken away, supported. I think we need to stand up and be like, this isn't okay. Like we've got to round them all up and put them away.
I think there's, I'm with, I don't like joint enterprise as a blanket rule because I think it does round up too many innocent people on the outskirts. I might say too many. I don't even know the stats. Let me not say too many. I know people that get caught up and they didn't deserve to be caught up in it. So I understand that. I don't think it could, and also the system does get abused because it's not, the system's not the system for us. So when I think about my community, my people, I definitely think joint enterprise is dangerous. I do think there needs to be more accountability for people that if you're watching a fight, if you're watching something go down, if you don't want to be caught up in it, get the fuck out of there straight away. Said that to my child. Don't stand there. Don't be an innocent bystander. Don't be an innocent bystander. Be a gone person. Don't let me finish.
But you do. Okay. I was just going to say, but you do know that the way that sorry to harp on about joint enterprise, but you do know the way that joint enterprise works is if you're standing there and you do leave, you're still part of it. You do know that. You can have nothing to do. You can have nothing to do. You can have nothing to do with what's taking place, yeah. But because you were there and you left, it can be seen that you're part of it. I don't think that's fair. And then you go to jail for the same amount of time that the people that were actually participating and were actually caused harm and actually did something. I don't think that's right. And it's another mechanism that they're using to pull too many people off the streets. And I do agree with part of what you're saying, Nana. This culture of violence has to be stopped in some sort of way. But I don't agree that the justice system should act out by clapping everybody and saying you're all to blame, you're all going down. I don't agree with that. And I've seen people's lives and I've witnessed it firsthand, how people's lives can be ruined because that's what they thought. They thought that's the way to deal with it. And it wasn't really that they wanted to deal with it. They wanted to manipulate the system.
When it comes to the culture, I think that we also do need to look at that. And it's been too long that it's just freedom of speech. It's just our music. We're talking about what goes on the streets. We're talking about our reality. But that reality has caused issue for us today, as Nana said.
And it's not a reality, though. It's a created facade of life. You've created it. You start to see that the next boy down the road is not kin. It's like it's a created space. It isn't, we're not in a war-torn place. Like literally there are people with money, you have food, you can eat, and you're seeing another black person, mixed race person just bopping, and you're seeing them as an enemy. That's the music. It actually goes into your psyche. Like we're being fed a diet of shit. And it is like, no, there are ways that you eradicate gang culture. And I do think that, yes, it may be super right wing compared to the left liberal leaning parts that they want to feed on us, but actually it is our families, it is our children that suffer from this whole it's just freedom of speech shit. It isn't, because there are other communities that won't allow this type of culture to infiltrate it. They have codes of conduct, and it just seemed like it was okay for the Black people to be fed this diet of shit, and it was put on us by other people that weren't even Black. They were hyping it, and it's like, nah, it's a way out of it. Venezuela are there. You see the evidence of it. It's kind of worked. That's all I'm saying.
I'd like to talk to the rappers and the musicians and people that are part of our culture, that drive our culture, to have a new way of thinking. But it's so difficult to, as I think who said it, how do you stop the violence? How do you stop the violence? Because it feeds into our films. And it's not just our films, gangster films. I mean, we talked about this before. How many boys, and I don't know what it is about Black boys that are attracted to this gangster lifestyle. Us growing up, every Black boy I knew was like, Scarface is the man. And I didn't understand. I actually didn't even understand before I even saw Scarface. I was like, what? Okay, Scarface is the man. When I watched it, man dies at the end. So I don't understand. Like,
yeah, he does.
Been through, yes, the immigrant struggle, but you came as an immigrant. You made it through being a criminal. I understand the oppression.
Because they watch it and they probably think that they're not going to end up like him.
I mean, it's like this wash, repeat cycle, whatever you call it. It just happens all the time. You're going to die. You're going to go to jail. Lives are going to get ruined. It's inevitable. So from the origins of hip hop, where we were talking about criticizing what's going on in the streets, to the glorification where it becomes gangster rap and then it becomes culture. And it's not even outside of the whole sexualization of hip hop as well. And our music and our culture. It's like, we do need to do something. That's where I'm at. Joint enterprise, RICO charge, all that type of stuff. I'm not interested in that. There needs to be a better way of policing. I think do your due diligence as legal operations, legal bodies. Sort it out and do it properly rather than just rounding everybody up and dashing them. Something about what Venezuela did does make sense. But then it's like targeting gangs and stuff, like being a bit more targeted. I don't know. It's wild, but I don't know. I don't know how.
There's definitely ways to do it. They have so much information on so many people. There are ways that you can round folks up, and there are ways that they can do it. When they want to, they do. Like, exactly. They have so much information on us all the time. I think so many ways now, especially with like county lines, they know who is involved. You can see the patterns. Yeah. You see the patterns of people, and they don't round them up to take them off before something detrimental takes place. They watch and they build cases, and they watch lives getting ruined, and they watch, and then they'll do a sweep and they'll take that little fraction out. They could sew this up very quickly, especially in London. You could eradicate this very quickly. I could tell them who are all of the boys that are shot in around here. It's very easy. Your neighbors will know, but the police don't do anything. And so it is like, what are we going to do? So then we just bring our kids into a world where they can't even go to school without shit taking place.
Yeah.
No, something has to happen.
But that's the thing about even with the joint enterprise thing and that, it's like the way that things can happen so quickly that you're not even aware. That's why I'm resistant to joint enterprise as well, because anything can happen. Anything can happen. And the next minute, even when that whole thing of when Black people see someone running, we start running. The next minute I'm in jail because I ran, because I saw people running. That's not the way to do it. If you want to round up gang members, because exactly that. Surveillance is deep. Right now, somebody knows what we're doing right now. I'm inside the building in my own yard, but somebody in the higher ups know what is happening right now in my yard. If they know that, why the fuck can't you find out who did this? I know it, yes, policing might be difficult, but in real talk, we are surveilled. There's enough fucking shows on TV to show me that there's a big room with big cameras on the screen, and people are going boop, 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 and they can zoom in into and see my face right now, high G resolution, and they know what's going on. The fact that you can't find fucking murders, little boys that are not.
But they can. But see everything that you're saying, they can. And it's like sometimes Sometimes they don't want to, and then sometimes what they do is they tie up everybody into one thing, but they know full well, because they do have the CCTV footage and all of the rest of that shit. They know who does stuff, but they don't necessarily want to. They don't want to.
So this conversation
control.
Black people. There's also it's the pecking order and keeping the there's a phrase for it, when keeping the pecking order, keeping the system as it is, because you need the hierarchy, you need the people on the ground, you need the people being criminals, you need all that stuff to keep this capitalist society going. Otherwise, then the shift in power happens when everyone starts waking up and not killing each other and turning on each other. But Coco's saying Black people need to start taking accountability. In what way do we need? What do we not do? What are we? Because I know we're sensitive, we're defensive because the world shits on us. But in amongst all that, how do we become accountable without airing our dirty laundry, without feeling like we're being sellouts, like we're not cooning, like we're not doing Uncle Tomming or Aunt Jemimering or all those things? How do we hold ourselves accountable in real time to make a change?
But I think that thing you just said about not airing our dirty laundry, we need to hold ourselves accountable for that as well, because sometimes you do need to call out bullshit, even if it is in your own community. And I don't know, I don't think I'm a fan either of just not saying stuff openly because it's the Black people. We can't let people know. We've got to say shit. It's like we talk about people like R. Kelly and P. Diddy. They did wrong. Let's talk about it. What, should we just like act like they never did it? And because we don't want to shame ourselves in front of others. I think when people do wrong, no matter who it is, we need to highlight that.
But we don't do it very well. KW says,
I know.
And this is a response. KW says Black people are already being made accountable above and beyond everybody else. Is that a true statement for real, or is it something that we've absolutely amplified? Because
I think we get it than anybody else. I think that's a fact. I think Black people we're at the bottom of the pecking order, but at the top of the pecking order when people want to do shit to us and hold us to task and like make an example of us. I think that is fair. But within all of that, it doesn't mean that in order to build ourselves up, that we should let in the bullshit and we shouldn't expose when people are fucking things up.
You need to call it out. The dirty laundry argument is the oppressor's language. It's used to shame us. There is that. I understand what KW is saying, the accountability. Yet we can be punished more above anybody else. But accountability, that's very different. What we allow our diet to be as what is Black culture now is a lot of shit. And that's the thing of calling it out. Like, you can't even effectively have real conversations about the shit that Tyler Perry puts out to the masses, because it's like, but the masses want to watch it. That doesn't mean that they have to. And that's the same with music. Like, it's like, but the kids want to listen to it. If it wasn't being mass marketed, they wouldn't even know it was about to listen to it. So you're marketing a diet of shit. And that's the thing that, we have to be accountable for that. We have to all police what is coming to our families. Because as much as somebody said, like, it's about parenting, try it. Try and parent in this world when there is so much other things that come at your kids that you have to try and control. We have to, as a village, be like, this isn't okay. This on wholesale, this is all of us. We're setting standards that we're all like, no, this isn't okay. Because of, do we have to have a summer of 1,000 kids die before we're really like, you know what? We need to do something about this. Like, one life is enough for us to actually collectively be like, this isn't the world that I want to live in. We actually do have the power to do that, but it does take the village to all be like, nah, it's not happening anymore. No, we're not going to have a Lucian Grange that is going to pump millions into this shit form of music that somebody is calling art that is corrupting our kids. No, it's not okay.
I think that's...
that's our friends. That's our friends that are making movies that are shit as well. He's like, no, can't do that. Find a wholesome story.
It is. I think Black culture is in. I think Black culture is in the ghetto, as Coco says. It is. It's. We've allowed stuff for too long under the guise of it's just our reality when it's not. I mean, mine is, there's a limit. There's a moment where, you can twerk, you shake your ass, da 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 da. And then I'm like, hold on, what's being fed into my daughter's ears? I think Angie Lamar, if you guys have watched our main show, the Queen Angie Lamar was a guest, and one of her questions was like, what's going on? Why are we at this state of our culture? Why are our children being fed this madness and we're okay with it? I'm paraphrasing a lot, but that's what it is. And it's that whole thing about now girls and boys are have mad expectations. Girls are expecting little boys to have hundreds of thousands of pounds to buy the material things in order for them to say they're a viable candidate to date. That alone is a problem. But when we've spoken about it before, it's like, well, no, you're policing women and women are taking ownership and now they're reclaiming. And yes, there's an element of, yes, there was a time when we are still oppressed, but there was a time when we were even more oppressed and we couldn't focalize and we accepted shit from men not doing the minimum. So now we want to make higher demands, but that shouldn't be tied to material gain. It shouldn't now become, yes, little boy of 15 years old, where's my Birkin bag? Or you're not good enough. Yes, little girl of 15, 16 years old, why aren't you getting on your knees and doing all these things to me before I even buy you the Birkin bag? What the hell? Because they're listening to music and watching films and content that is alluding like to that is what it is to exist. And then there's the level of what it means to be black. Your level of blackness. What is that scale? How black are you? Is normally tied to how oppressed you've been, what ghetto you come from, and how bad or hardcore you can be. And then that means your stamp of approval is that's your proper black. Then if there any kind of softness, then you're less black. Any type of calmness, you're less black. Any type of being well educated, speaking well, you're less black. That level of blackness is always tied to hardship, pain, poverty, ghetto-ness. All that needs to be redesigned, rebranded of what it means to be black.
Definitely. Or a rejection of the term. I mean, it's all, we're all co-signing this. It's like, there's been various movements to actually just remove black as a term, like to describe us, to start thinking of how do we recreate our culture? What actually is it? What do we want it to stand for? There's loads of, I think these are the discourses that we really should be having. What is this? What's being created? And what have we actually created? What is our creativity in this? Or what actually has people sitting in rooms and they've remarketed it? And this is what we're now feeding into, like their marketing plan. Actually, this is what they're pushing and selling to us as this is blackness. When sometimes it's like, that weren't even us. We didn't create that shit. So,
I mean, there's a lot of that wasn't even us, isn't it? There's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. We didn't even do it.
So, drillers telling on themselves, is this news or nonsense?
It's new. Absolutely. Let them carry on and get done. Get put in prison, dummies.
So I'm going to take it a bit lighter. There's a man in Ohio, Jason Fauntleroy, an Ohio resident, inadvertently bought an entire street whilst purchasing a vacant lot for $5,000, sorry, at a sheriff's auction. The city of Trenton is now seeking to reclaim the property through eminent domain to convert the private street into a public road, leaving Fauntleroy in a legal and financial dispute.
Sheriff's Office auction, Jason Fauntleroy bought this lot hoping to build a home on it. But the purchase didn't come with just this sliver of land. It came with this entire street.
It's been a nightmare.
That's how Fauntleroy describes the back and forth he's been having with the city of Trenton. It's over this piece of land he's owned for 3 years. Fauntleroy claims the city began the process of reclaiming the land through eminent domain back in October. But when the property was appraised, instead of assessing all of the land, the lot, and the sliver of street out in front, Fauntleroy maintains they only appraised a portion.
They shut me out. They block my calls. It's hard to even get through to anybody.
Fauntleroy says he just wants the full and fair value. So I took his unanswered questions to the city of Trenton.
So he legally owns this lot here and this street.
Yes.
He purchased that. How can he purchase a street where there are multiple homes on that drive?
So I'm not sure how that occurs, other than that it was a private drive that was created through a homeowners association. The homeowners association was responsible for maintaining that property.
Trend City Manager Marcos Nichols says the city's actions are a result of contentious conversations.
If you purchase the street in addition to the lot, why is the lot only being assessed for property value in this eminent domain litigation?
So I cannot speak to the appraised value. The thought process with the appropriation process is to convert the private drive to a public roadway, which the city would then be responsible for maintaining and owning.
Treat people fair. Don't just take advantage of someone because they don't have the means of getting an attorney.
In Trenton, Jay Shakur, WCPO 9 News.
I just thought that was very interesting that if you buy a piece of land, let me keep my land in it. Whatever, you made the mistake, right?
I'm a bit confused though.
Everyone looks confused.
Sorry, I was on Twitter trying to find this thing about Trump, but I can't find nothing. But I was listening. I didn't get it.
So basically, he's bought land. From my understanding, he's bought land, and somehow, what he thought he was buying a plot of land to build a house, he ended up owning legally the whole strip of land that's got multiple houses on it. And now the council, their version of a council, want to take it back from him because they realize, okay, he's bought this basically for the cheap, and they want it back. They want to build their own stuff on it and make money off it. Basically, they're removing his right to own the land.
No, you got to pay him.
Yeah, that's all.
You got to pay him, but also
you got to pay him above. Yeah, you got to pay him properly. Like,
yeah, that's what he's
back,
saying.
You got to buy it.
Yeah, he's saying let's value why are you trying to value this part and not that part? I get that.
Yeah,
but what I'm wondering is, because he owns it, is he responsible at the moment for maintaining it? Because that's wild.
That's wild. Anyway, it was just
to the people that live on that street, isn't it? Like,
yeah. Someone effed up, exactly what Will Smith. Someone effed up, and now they're trying to fix their F up. But the fact of the matter is, now this man legally owns this piece of property. So
yeah,
no, I get that, but listen. I understand that part.
Yeah.
It's not that part that I don't get. It's the part of like, I'm thinking of it from his perspective because he's very upset. But are you also upset because the liability of that road at the moment is with you? That's what I'm like. Is that the other thing? That's what I'm saying.
Laura, that's exactly it. I don't understand why he's upset. I'm talking to you, council. I'm talking to this developer here. Whoever's going to give me the most money, I'm handing over deeds. I'm not getting upset about this. You pay me. You pay me. I would be looking to sell it and go about my business. That's it.
And it's
I think that's what he's saying.
I'm not going to do anything.
I think that's what he's saying. He wants it properly appraised, and they're not giving him the proper appraisal because they don't want to pay him what it's worth to get it off his back. Yeah,
and get someone else to do it. But as long as you don't have to pay for the upkeep, get the neighbors to put some pressure on them because it's their road.
Anyway, it was just a little thing. But yes, go on. What were you going to say about Trump?
Okay. All right. So yes, I see it now. Thank you, Jordan. Jordan brought it to our attention that President-elect Donald Trump says he will issue an order on Monday that will allow TikTok to continue operating and proposes the US take partial ownership of the app. That's the consideration that Captain Saberho is putting forward. So there we go, guys.
Should just be like, fuck you lot, because I think it's disgusting that you're even saying that they need to pay you or you need to own anything, any part of their company in order for it to make. What's going to be the difference then? What you're going to start telling them how they run their app, and that's okay.
It's
because then all of a sudden it's not this free platform, and all of a sudden the algorithm's going to change, and all of a sudden the things that are on there at the moment that show the truth and justice are not going to be on there. Is that what's going to happen? But then on the reverse of that, you've got Elon Musk saying, say what you want, do what you want. Flipping the curly head boy who's trying to find a designer now. Say what you want, be who you want. It's fine. Like it's wild to me.
Only on my platform.
Captain Saberho. And Captain Saberho he's doing a lot at the moment.
He is.
Because even with the ceasefire, hasn't Netanyahu come out and say that Trump has actually said to me, he's given me his full backing that I can continue to bomb Gaza as I please.
Because Net and Hardy say it's like it's a temporary. They have the right to. They have the right to.
And he's saying Trump's given him his full support.
All right.
And they actually have started doing stuff since the ceasefire, which happened at 9:15 this morning. They've already broken it multiple times. People have died.
Let's take it to the workplace. Guys, everyone's back at work, right? You guys are all back at work. It's been said that UK businesses are enforcing stricter office attendance policies post-COVID. Workers are facing challenges ranging from financial strain to reduced flexibility. While some welcome the camaraderie of office life, others feel their productivity and work-life balance have been compromised, which is sparking lots of debates. I don't have a video for this. I tried to find a video. But basically, they're telling people, more and more organizations are saying, guys, this work from home life is done. Get back in the office. And this is going like JP Morgan Chase, the largest US bank, plans to mandate full-time office attendance for all staff, ending hybrid work arrangements. Amazon, initially adopting a flexible approach, Amazon's now requiring corporate employees to work from the office at least 3 days a week, with plans to increase this to 5 days. Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz mandated corporate employees to return to the office 3 days a week, citing the need to rebuild office culture. Disney, the CEO Bob Iger, Disney requires employees to work in the office 4 days a week to enhance creativity and collaboration. Dell Technologies expects employees living within an hour's commute to be in the office at least 3 days a week. Asda, the UK-based supermarket chain, requires over 5,000 office staff to work in office at least 3 days a week starting this January. And Starling Bank, the UK bank, enforced a policy requiring hybrid workers to be in the office at least 10 days a month, leading to internal dissent. What do you guys think about that? I know Anna and I, we don't work in the office. Farah, you work in the office. People in the comments, those who work in offices, have you been told to get back into work?
I mean, I've got to be in work every day anyway, so it hasn't made. And that was through COVID, because I'm not just office based. It's like, so there's an office and I'm in it, but I'm also around site. So I've had to be in all that time. But I think it's interesting that a lot of people who, it's different for people who started work in a hybrid way and were told this is your contract and you can work however many days from home, to people who prior to COVID were at work every single day. How can you be at work every single day and that's in your contract, and now you're a bit upset that your ability to work from home a couple of days a week has been changed?
Interesting.
I think it's that way round, you know. I wouldn't want to have a hybrid job and now I'm being told to go into the office. I think that's a bit crazy. But I also understand for being able to see the productivity, for the collaboration, depending on the situation, I can understand why you would be like, actually working from home doesn't work. And it does annoy me when I do call up a call center, as much as I did quite a few jobs in call centers and I would have loved to have been working from home. But when I call up and I do hear kids in the background, or you can hear their mind isn't really there because the TV may be on, that type of, it is annoying. It is like, it's jarring. I do want you to be back in a call center.
Yeah, and I do think like one of my brothers, he COVID happened and then he worked from home, and then after COVID, the way that the company set it up, they just all of them continue to work at home. And I think it took a shine out of his life. You know, I think sometimes you do need to have that interaction with people physically as well, because you can become quite isolated. And there were people, this is the other flip side of it. There are a lot of people during COVID that said that they felt isolated from the world because everything is just in their house.
I think that, I mean, I don't know.
Open about is the why. Can you put Will Smith back on? The only thing that aren't open about is the why. The building morale thing is BS, because I'm just on Teams calls with people all day. I get it. There is a difference.
I think it depends on your work, in the environment that you work in. I think there's some jobs, obviously, in certain workplaces where it's beneficial that you're all in together and you're all working together and collaborating as humans rather than on screens, on Zoom or Teams and stuff like that. Working for myself, I control when I go and work in a space where there's other people or work from home. I do understand sometimes being at home for like a full week when I've had to work from home. I do like, yes, let me go out and see people. When I worked at the BBC in an office, I didn't know anything different because that was pre-COVID. So I never knew nothing about not coming in. But I remember having in one of my departments working for someone who was like, you must be in at 9, you must leave at 10. And there was no flexibility, no leeway. My daughter was very young at that time. I was juggling childcare and it was hard for me. And I definitely, when I moved into another department, when I got another job somewhere else in the BBC, one of my requirements that I needed like part-time hours or like slash my hours. And there was a slow increase into how many days I came back into the office. But the guy, my boss, was very kind of amenable and worked with me and my schedule and the fact that I had a child that I had to look after. He was very open and he was flexible. So he gave me time to gradually increase my days back in the office. And I still think I had one day that I was allowed to not be in the office, but that was a day off rather than working from home. So I don't know. I'm speaking up from a very luxurious place where I can do what I want, but I think it's case by case and company by company, whether it's necessary. But I do think it has helped to show that you do not need, especially those jobs worth bosses that are just like, you've got to be here on demand, and just sucking the life out of their employees and not getting the best out of them. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury to say, okay, every individual, how do you work best? How do you work well? Do you work better in like isolated? Do you work better in a team? We don't have the luxury of being able to do that in all cases, but I think there should be some way of having this kind of conversation, like how do you work best, implemented into now new kind of job hires and working environments.
Yeah. Flexibility and being agile is really important for a business anyway. Like they should know that, but you also have to think about let's say Canary Wharf. You have to think about all of the businesses that were set up for all of the workers, and then they have a knock on. So I get the play in between the two and being like, yeah, you have to come in. Because also if a building has to be maintained and is there, you also need a population coming in to be using the facilities as well. But I do think you do have to be flexible with your employees. It's actually better anyway for the environment. Yeah, people are less stressed. That's how
I would say that flexibility is key in things like that. Like I'm not a boss that says to people you must be here at 9 o'clock on the dot, or if you're here at 9:01 you're going to get penalized. Don't get me wrong, there are some roles that you do need to be on time for, because you are front of house, and there's a knock-on effect with you not being there. But with even those kind of roles, you have to be flexible in maybe different areas. But I will say that it is down to the job. It depends on what the actual working environment is and whether or not you have to be on site, because there's some places that you need to be. I think I benefit from being in an open office in my current job because I can hear what's going on in the other departments and that have a knock-on effect in my own department. And then we can like spitball and like come up with solutions to things. I benefit from that. I see that when other people don't necessarily do that, can be a disconnect. I've noticed that in prior locations. When I had a job where I had my own office, I didn't like it. I would always find myself out coming into the hub because I want to kind of hear what's going on. So I just think it depends on the role, the job, the type of environment that you're in as well. But yes, Nana, it does have a knock-on effect when all these companies close their offices, and it just becomes a ghost town, and all the businesses that have been set up to accommodate those things.
There's the sandwich guys. Remember the sandwich guys that would go into like all of their businesses, that's like somebody's small business, and then it just kind of ended. Again, loads of things are going to end soon anyway with AI, but I can understand them trying to get the last bits of office life, because I do think it is going to change dramatically as well. So, and people have to think about how you do interact when you are working from home, because that is a huge factor, and especially for a lot of creative people, it becomes quite hard to get a workshop. I was very lucky with my businesses that were thriving that I could have a workshop, because it can be really hard when you're working at home, you have your family at home, and you're not able to go anywhere else other than when you're buying materials or to the post office. It's very isolating, and then your creativity can be stifled if you they need to sort out rents so that people can work in different ways. Like we can have different types of buildings that folks can go to and work from and create a community. It doesn't always have to be in your house, but it also doesn't have to be in JP Morgan's big office building either. There can be other ways that we can work.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of hybrid workspaces. That's become a thriving kind of business initiative.
Yeah, it has.
You can get, with whatever, I won't name them, but there's a bunch of that. I think that's helpful and that's useful. And it is just being in space. Like, definitely as a Soho House member, they've got Soho Works, which, if you can afford it, it's a bit expensive to have the both for me. But it works for some people that they can get the Soho Works thing. Then you get workspaces and you're around people of like-minded creativity and you bounce off. So there's a few times I've used Soho Works. That's been quite nice. You have that environment. And then also met people and had conversations and actually leaning on people for support, because working from home on my own, when I'm frustrated about something, I could literally like, okay, what do you know? How can I get some assistance and do that? That is quite helpful. And I think someone mentioned as well, us working keeps the high street open. The high street is problematic. I was saying about Westfields, our West London one. There are so many closed units. I'm like, to the point where I'm like, how is this thing how does it keep ticking along? If it's not
these are the questions.
Like, how is it still here? Because
by taking £10 off gift cards.
I mean, there's enemies. There is that. And there was like the Village. That was the big sell to make it even stand out against the Stratford one. We had the Village. I say we. Westfield London had the Village. It is predominantly closed now. That area that was so bright and enticing, and it had that little bit of spark and extraness. If you're into designers and stuff, it looked like a nice little extra space. Most of the units are closed. Westfield, you walk around Westfield London, so many of the units are closed. And it's like, what is, and I suppose maybe if there was a thriving, I mean, the BBC.
Precisely, Destiny.
Say that again. Yeah, well, that's why I kind of would like that. I kind of would like that. Allegedly, I kind of would like that. So I don't know.
It is. No, shops don't even, how many empty shops are out there? Like, you walk past them and you're just like, you've had probably 10 customers. Your rent is generally like flipping 20, 30K a month. Like, you're not making that. So where is this money coming from?
I didn't know that.
It's wild. It's even Oxford Street. It's like,
Oxford Street.
You guys aren't surviving. You're not making that money. You're not. Like, most of the shops are not making that money to pay their rent. There has to be some laundering shit going on. It has to be.
It's wild. And that's a shame, because it's like, you do want, I mean, I know online shopping, but just even having a space, a place to go. I think my mum was saying that, just like especially for old folk, her little trips to, whilst they're still mobile, little trips to Marks and Spencer's or going to outside and shutting everything down, just little things that people can do. You don't even just have to be, but there's that little communal thing. Like, I'm going to get up and go to the West End and do some shopping or do some walking around. All that being locked off. So what? So people just sitting in the house. I mean, they're not thinking it through, obviously. Or they are.
Online shopping is a thing, but you still need shops that you go into. I think the high street is such an important part of community, but the rents are just too high. Like, it's really hard to even do. To have a little shop on a high street, it's too expensive. But it actually is, when we would have our shops in Kentish Town, the conversations that we would have in there, the locals that you would meet, it's affirming, and they would come in and be like, this is needed for our community, for us to just have a space where we're going to have different types of conversations with people.
Yeah.
If all you have on a high street is a betting shop, is fast food joints and secondhand shops, you're not being inspired in any way.
Exactly.
It's not great.
And those American, I don't understand. I went in the other day, I went to visit a friend and I wanted to get her kid something before I got there. So I went into one of those, and it was a front. I didn't know it was one of those stores that had all American sweets. I thought it was a general shop just near Embankment Tube Station. So when I went in, I went to pick up a packet of sweets and I saw £10 on the back. Listen,
American sweets are expensive.
I know, they're expensive. I don't ever go in there.
There's dumb pricing though, and I'm like, I said to the guy,
no, it's stupid.
I was like, you don't buy this for this. Like, you know me already. I'm going to have a challenge with them. Like, what? I picked up, got to the till, and I was like, and I didn't turn it over. When I turned it over, I said, what do you mean? And he was like, yeah, well, this, it's expensive. And he goes, my rates are expensive, my rents are expensive. It's me.
Business rates, yeah.
It doesn't.
But it's I know, but caveat, like devil's advocate, the rent that he's got to pay that it's not like it's European sweets and he's getting it for 50 pence. He's not getting it for 50 pence. Yes, it is absolutely extortionate, the prices that they charge, but sometimes they've got to hide in order to make a profit. It's all very, very messy. Like, I've got to pay my rent. If no one comes in, if only you were going in that day, he might not make many sales. So it's like he's got to try and keep his lights on. It's very difficult. But this is why I make people buy me sweets from America when they go there and bring it back for me, rather than me going to the shops in the high street.
Okay.
Oh, wow. And Camberwell, the banks are closed. Actually, to be fair,
NatWest Bank.
All the banks have got
they're closing as well.
NatWest Bank, I see close more than any other bank. I find that all the places that had NatWest, they're just all closing everywhere. Even the one in Westfield is closed now.
It's NatWest and Barclays. They banks have been closing for a while.
they have.
Or getting smaller or less tellers. And this is the thing. It's like you're going to a shop now. There's no tellers in there. So where are all the jobs? I went into Primark, 3 people working. There used to be 20 in Westfields. Where are people getting a job? Where are they going to work?
Zara has. You go to. There's like a self-service.
Introduce
like 2 people around, and then there's like like Tesco's and Sainsbury's and all those places. Remember, like, there used to be just cashiers. Now there's parts of it is.
I don't mind the mix of self-service and then the queues, because sometimes that is, especially the Zara in Westfield, that returns queue and the queue was just so dense and long. You could be in there. I've literally been in that queue before for an hour. So there was something about streamlining the queuing system in certain shops that are very heavily populated. But then also, just can I ask a question of somebody? This is the thing. When it was like, can I get some assistance? How can a big store, and we were in a TK Maxx in Woolwich, how can a big store, I can't ask anyone a question? No one is about? And then when you ask, know anything about the lay of the land?
Like Nighttown's closed now. You know that, innit?
Sorry?
I would say Nighttown's closed now.
Which Nighttown? Shut up.
Yeah, it's closed. My niece works there. So my niece, like, they had their last of the last.
That was going to happen. Like, but they are all closing. That's the thing. So it's I remember I would very similarly, I would be like, oh no, but sometimes when the self-checkout helps because you can do it faster yourself. What we have, and it's, again, we've allowed this to take place. When the machines come in and replace us, that's somebody's job.
Yeah,
it's not like they are there to help. They remove that person. They consolidate, consultants come in. You can get rid of 15 staff members and we can put 6 machines and you will have, but then you have nobody to talk to. And then now we're going to be walking into places with machines. Where are people going to have their first job at 16 when you could go and work in Sainsbury's?
When you go into Tesco's or Sainsbury's or any of those supermarkets, and you look at the line, you know, and I mean like where the tills are. Do you remember it used to be from one end of the shop to the other end of the shop was tills, There were about 4 tills with people. And then the rest of it is like self-service trolley or self-service basket. That's or pay as you know, the check as you go type. It's all the majority of it is self-service. You hardly ever see anybody there. And you're right. At 16, where are you going to go work?
Where do you get your job experience when they don't have any of those foundational level jobs anymore? Like you can't go and work in JD. They're closing down too. There's less staff in there. You're not going to Sainsbury's, Tesco's. You're not getting a job in there. Where are your we don't have call centers anymore. Where are your foundational jobs? Where can people learn how to wake up early and they got to get to their job
and interact with people
and interact with people? And also, and to be fair, sorry, I lost my train.
No, I am. Even McDonald's, they have 3 people working in there. Before, you used to have crews of folks in McDonald's working.
Yeah, because they've got self-serve too. Because all you need is the man that's frying and the man that hands you the food.
Yes. Removing the jobs for those young kids, and then we talk about the kids on the streets, and then we get back into the whole, like, well, what are they doing? They're just going to sell what they need to sell, get involved in what they need to get involved with, because they've got nothing stimulating in their mind. There's no youth clubs, there's nothing, as the rhetoric goes, there's no play. I was surprised that I saw an adventure playground type thing the other day when I was walking around my area. I walked away that I hadn't walked for many years. And there's a park that actually had an adventure playground type setup. And I was actually surprised to see it. It's like, Oh, sorry, someone's at my door. I just realised.
You know what? This is the funniest thing, because even Stephanie saying it, that's why young people are doing eyelashes and becoming entrepreneurs. Precisely. And then you have a new type of space in the high street, but you have to have it be, you people have to be able to get into these buildings that are being closed down to work in different ways, and you'll come up with new ways to make money. But the rents to get people on a high street, that will change. It will change. It will look different. People will have different businesses. Will be great if it becomes affordable. It all comes hand in hand. Or I am not against, and I'm actually totally for, give me a universal living wage. I'm absolutely up for it. You pay me $5,000 a month. I can be as creative as I want to be. And the world would probably be a better place. We could all do what we wanted to do. Just pay us to do it. That would be great.
Let me find one more light story, because we do have to go, because it's 5 o'clock, guys.
Yay. One light story, please.
A light one. All right. Was that news or nonsense?
News.
News. All right. We're talking about AI and things taking over in a crazy way. There was a man who was trapped in a self-driving taxi.
Has it happened?
Yeah.
I've been waiting to hear news of this.
So I'll set it up. A self-driving Waymo taxi trapped a passenger in a parking lot, repeatedly circling and highlighting ongoing concerns about autonomous vehicle reliability. The incident was resolved by a software update, but it raises questions about safety and user trust in such technology. Let's go.
You're going round and round in circles. Well, for one man, that feeling became a reality when he entered a driverless cab in the hope of getting to an airport. That's all he wanted to do. Have a look.
Okay, why is this happening to me on a Monday? I'm in a Waymo car.
Connected to rider support. This call may be recorded for quality assurance.
This car is just going in circles.
Hi there, Mike. This is Gab. I'm calling from Waymo support. I'm just calling because I received a notification that your car might be experiencing some routing issue. Please bear with me while I am.
Yeah, I got a flight to catch. Why is this thing going in a circle?
No, not a flight.
Look at what it's doing.
I mean, don't blame him. I'm getting dizzy just watching it, to be honest. Mike Johns was left literally going round and round and round that parking lot after boarding the driverless Waymo taxi to an airport in Scottsdale, Arizona. He filmed the moment he was trapped in the vehicle, unable to stop the car or get help. Now, I'm very happy to say he's not still there. He's out of the car. He's not as dizzy as he was. And he joined me to talk a little bit about his experience. Have a listen.
Initially, I thought when I got in the car and it went in the first loop, hey, it went the wrong way. And this is about the driverless experience, right? When you have a human in the car, there's always been the backseat driver since the Model T car. But now when there's no one in the car and it's going the wrong way, who do you talk to? So loop number one was just like, all right, that's strange. Loop number two, it became concerning what's going on. By the time we got to loop number three, I'm somewhere between thinking somebody's pulling a prank. And that's really what I thought. I happen to work in tech. I'm a futurist. How is this happening to me? Mind-boggling. But by the next loop, it went from prank to, I think there's a glitch here. Clearly there's a glitch that's happening. Then the voice came on. And when the voice came on, they knew that there was a problem and was working with me to try to fix it.
I'm not going to lie, just looking at this video and watching it's making me feel physically sick. And I get motion sick. How did you feel going round in circles? Surely you were like, ugh.
Yes, I didn't like that at all. The nauseated feeling, no, not cool at all. And so, when you're going in these circles, if it got to 10, 12, or 13 circles, it would have been a serious problem. Serious.
Okay, so that's basically.
It's a little scary, but that's probably what's gonna take place, isn't it? Yeah.
Listen, let me tell you something. Yeah. No, I'm not getting in a driverless car.
Right.
I'm not getting in a driverless car. And you know what I think I would have done? He's good because he was on the phone saying, "Hi, my car seems to be driving around in a circle." I think if I was in that car, I would have made my way to the front and I would have tried to see if I can stop that bad boy myself. There's got to be a handbrake or something. They've got to be something that I would try to I'm telling you the truth. I'm not going to sit there and be like it's going round in a circle. I would try to climb over the seat and get into the seat and see if I can stop the car myself.
And when it says When it doesn't like it's like, fire Charles, get back.
It's I don't care. It's scary. It's scary. That is scary to me. The idea that I'm in a car and there's no one there and it's driving, that's wild. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah. I mean, that is the thing, isn't it? Everybody's saying, like, if you've been on the underground, you've been on a self-driving tube.
Yeah.
I mean, but you could have somebody still, even if the car drives itself, can there not, like a guard, like that's still somebody's job. Like that's a taxi driver that now doesn't have a job now because these cars can drive themselves. Like, you could have somebody still in there. They can take it easy though. They can monitor the situation so that doesn't happen.
I mean, definitely for that, KW. We're talking films and stuff. That's what could happen. Next, we diverted to some crazy person. And he's lucky he was going in circles and not driving into traffic. That's one thing. Like, can you imagine?
Into the cars, or somebody is just speeding and the car is just going round in a circle.
Yeah.
It's the DLR that's driving us, not the tubes. The tubes are not.
Yeah.
Or the trains are not. Not yet, anyway. But the DLR.
I mean, DLR, we get on all the time.
It's like a tram.
We're talking about tube.
I feel like that's what it is. Yeah. But yeah, it's just like I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
It does, Will Smith.
But you know what? Actually, what I was going to say is as well, the difference between a driverless train or DLR or whatever the case may be, it's on a particular track and it is operated, it's stopped and started by lights, right?
Yeah.
A car is driving is totally different because when you're driving a car, you have to react to other cars around you and other vehicles around you. So it's not the same thing as you're just driving on one path, like on a train. This is my route on this particular track. And that's not to say that there can't be things in the way and all of that stuff. But driving is a totally different ballgame. I'm not here for it at all. Don't want to do it.
I think I can get into a driverless car.
Nah, as a driver,
I probably wouldn't be too crazy about doing that. I could do it. Where is it? San Francisco you can go now and they're all over the place. I'll probably give it a go and see how it happens. I was watching a thing on China and one of the cities where the trains can go through buildings and they have like that glass wall.
Is really the same.
We're watching the same. I was literally like, I want to go there.
Well. And wait, Nana. Oh my God, I was going to put it in the group because it's not news or nonsense, but it's something. I was like, I want to visit this place. And it's like this place in China, and I think it was used as where they were bombing, or like it was a bomb shelter.
Yeah,
and the levels are so different. And it's got like the deepest underground. Yeah. It's the deepest underground in the world. And then like you'll be standing on street side, and then you'll look down, and then it's like hundreds of stories down, and then you'll go somewhere else, and you'll be hundreds of stories. Like it's the wildest thing.
Amazing.
And yes, the train drove through the house, and I was like, I want to go. No, it's called something else. Hold on, I found it on YouTube the other day as well. I saw it on literally our algorithms.
Yeah, I'm sure I was watching it on YouTube, but I was totally like, oh my God, I'm going to go to this place.
Hold on, let me see if I can find the history. It looks so good.
Yeah, bring back Night Rider. Sonia, I can drive, but I don't drive because I wasn't a good driver. But yeah, I have a driver's license.
Mate. All right, guys.
The tech is way ahead, definitely. Like the tech over there, it looks phenomenal. I've really been watching so many things on China at the moment. Like the algorithm is giving me life in China, and I am like, yeah, man, come on. Why are we so behind?
Let's go.
Even like I've been watching some black girls are in China, and just the things that they've been saying. They've been like things that I didn't know before I came to China, and that the water is so much softer, and they put vitamin C or vitamin D or something in the water, and you know, like the jobs that you can have in China and how good everything is. Like there's been a lot of good stuff that's again, it seems my algorithm seems to be feeding me a lot of shit as well.
Like to just reserve some resistance to because also there's the other side of anybody. I'm not going to say anybody.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah,
that is true.
Grass is greener. It needs to be. Grass isn't always greener. Yes.
I need to find this.
I think the grass isn't always greener, but being very aware of the propaganda that has been fed to us on 100%. China and what it is, and it's like, bros, you guys have just been feeding propaganda because you're doing the same shit. And then they've got the technological advances. Why haven't we got that over here?
Let's go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's called Chongqing.
Welcome to the family.
What do you call it, Farah?
Chongqing, China. I'm going to share it in the group so you can see what I'm talking about. Have you found it?
Hotels. What?
No, I've just sent it to you anyway. Just check.
Okay, sorry. Is it called the Insane Megacity?
That's not what I'm looking at.
Destiny Love says, Red Note is teaching everyone that we are not living life in this side of the water. This is the thing. We're behind. Like, I mean, I thought it was crazy when we went to New Orleans and people were still, when you're doing your card and you had to still sign. And they was like, can I see your signature? And it was like, we ain't been doing that shit for time. Like,
or places that still take checks.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell? But yeah.
Right,
this is it.
Yes.
Hello, guys. Welcome to Chongqing, China. It's the biggest city on Earth, which you've probably never heard of. Some call it the Cyberpunk city or the city of fog. It's a city of many modern skyscrapers known for its unique culture, spicy food, and vibrant party scene, but most surprisingly, it has a population of 32 million people. Now you're surprised, right? Let's learn more about it. Where is Chongqing located? It's in southwestern part of China, at the confluence of two major rivers. Okay, let me make it simple. This is Yangtze River, and this is Jiaolian River, and this is where they come together. Chongqing is not just a city, it's one of the 4 direct administered municipalities under the Central People's Government, along with Beijing, Shanghai, and Tianjin. Now it covers an area roughly the size of Austria and has a population of 32 million. That's why they say it's the largest city in the world. But to be honest, it doesn't feel more crowded than Shanghai. So I guess it's just a numbers game. The most densely populated district is Youchong, situated on a peninsula at the confluence of Yangtze and Jiaolian rivers. This is where most tourists choose to stay because this is where you find all the major sites of the city.
The choir review was brutal.
This wasn't the one that I watched though.
Oh no, there's another one that I saw on YouTube.
Do you guys notice anything unusual?
And then
because I do.
This one's 38 minutes, so I don't know what
No,
else.
you don't need to watch it, or just there's just a part where you can see the train go through the building.
Let's see. Is it
It's
there?
flipping phenomenal.
It's amazing.
Station on Line 9 is the deepest metro station in the world, 116 meters below the ground, surpassing the previous record holder in Kiev, Ukraine.
All the trains.
Lines 2 and 3 are monorail, which make them the world's longest monorail system with 70 stations currently. Matter of fact, lines 2 and 3 travel above ground and offer such great views that you can consider them tourist attraction.
But yeah, man. There's other places to go. There's other places to be. There's other places.
Yeah, it was just interesting. We don't get shown China, and definitely
Never heard of this.
Is it Kara or Kara? Most definitely, China has been accused of not even just one genocide, a few different ones. The same as the US, same as the UK.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there is another part of the world that seems to have lots of different technological advances that we don't seem to have over here, and it just seems a little bit weird. Like, why is that?
I think it's just opening your mind to the propaganda of all countries, and if you really want to be okay, then make a decision on as much information as you can.
Yes, play the reel that I've just sent because it's a bit of what's the word? It's a bit of view of the city in less time. I want to go. I think we need an auntie's trip there.
I mean.
Yeah, I really did want to go when I was doing lots of business in China. I was like, I'm going to go 1 year, and it never happened. My mum even went to China. That's the thing. I have family in China as well.
You've got family in China?
Yeah, I got family in China.
We got to go. That's amazing.
My daughter's granny used to go regularly.
To the craziest city on Earth, and you probably have never even heard about it.
This is Chongqing, China, where they have petrol stations on top of roofs, trains that run through residential buildings, buses in the sky, elevators for cars, multi-story restaurants floating on the river, and also the deepest subway in the world. It goes down 118 meters, which is roughly the height of a 39-story building, and it took me 15 minutes just to get to the bottom. But the craziest part? We're still on the ground floor. You see, the reason people call Chongqing the 5D city is because it served as China's World War II capital. All of those old underground bomb shelters have since been transformed into roads, basements, and buildings. So, good luck finding your way around. Here, you think I'm on the ground floor, right? Wrong, because if you go to one side, you'll see you're on level 1. And if you go to the other side of the square, you're now on level 18. And almost everywhere in the city is like this. Here, we're on the 14th floor, and the elevator even shows you that. But if you walk outside, you're now on the ground floor again. And if you think simply walking around the city is confusing, try driving. One wrong turn on these roads and you're cooked. You might even find yourself accidentally entering the garage that is 500 meters to the bottom. Yes, I'm still driving down as I post this video. I have
there's lots of responses, but yeah, it's all, I mean, yeah.
Flipping nuts. It is crazy. Cara is saying, speaking on the UK government versus speaking on the Chinese government, polar opposite ramifications. Definitely not saying I want to be a Chinese person at all. Definitely saying, wow, the engineering. It's just to see a different side of the world that you generally don't. We just don't see it. We're not seeing what's going on over there, and it's like, yeah, it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's traveling the world is a helpful thing to do, because when you're in one place, stuck in one place, being fed information, misinformation, it dulls your senses to the common sense of what the world really is. So traveling as best you can, I think it's important. It's very important.
While we can with a British passport, while we can go places with a British passport, we may as well use it, because we don't know where the world is going to be in 10 years' time.
100%. Guys, on that note, what's that news or nonsense? I can't even remember where we are.
That was news, man. People need to know.
That was news. It was good. We got to look around the world.
Yeah,
that would be nice, actually, to close the show. If people have other interesting parts of the world, like send us the reel, and then we can watch it and be fascinated by what else is out there and plan our trips away.
Indeed. Do you know what we got to do next Sunday? Checking on our boy.
Let's go.
Oh yes. I haven't actually looked on his page in time, you know.
I know. It just came to me. I don't know. It just came to me.
I forgot what his name was.
If you want to
got out of my head.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Was it Ramel?
I don't know. On that
somebody
note,
in the chat.
Someone's got to remember in the chat.
I'm trying to run away.
I can't remember what his name was.
Shaq.
Father's boyfriend.
This is my boyfriend, not me.
Thanks. Anyway, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being in the chat. Thank you, Chantal. Guys, please remember, these are our thoughts, opinions, unverified and unfact-checked, pure auntie nonsense, to be honest. We love you. We'll be back next week. More
let's not start that rumor
and nonsense.
You see it's spreading in the chat.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's not do that. That ain't my boyfriend.
Father's boyfriend.
Not at all.
That's hilarious.
Bye.
Bye, guys.